Pirates Full Level System, Chapter 581-600. Chapter 581 The Bullet That Brings Death. The crowd made way for Old Derek, and at some point, Old Derek, who had been skillfully hiding at the corner of the wall, staggered to the middle of the banquet. Headed by Edwin, Rhodes and Old Derek, they formed a tripartite form at the banquet. Of course, if the people around Old Derek were not too shabby, the three-legged confrontation would still look a bit like. Unlike the bosses of the other two factions, Old Derek was only followed by his captain of the guard, quite alone. As for the other members of the wall-riding faction, at this time, they avoided him as if they were avoiding the god of plague. How could they foolishly follow? Husbands and wives are birds of the same forest, and when disaster strikes, they fly separately. What's more, these old drakes and other members of the wall squad are not even as good as husband and wife. Instead of doubting the morality of the other members of the wall-riding faction, their nature of seeking advantages and avoiding disadvantages is more worthy of trust. Old Derek didn't want to stand up either, but if he continued to play dead, it's very likely that the radicals and moderates would deal with him first. A fisherman can't be a fisherman, and he can't be a fisherman in this life. The opportunity to fish in troubled waters is not given, and he can only maintain his own life by hugging Chin Luo's thigh. Old Derek glanced at the second floor with flickering eyes. He only hoped that when the fight broke out, Chin Luo would be able to save his life. Old Derek was in a bad situation. Both moderates and radicals looked at him with contempt. He had been abandoned by moderates and radicals. No matter who is the final winner, I think there will be no Drake family in the list of winners. The other members of the wall-riding faction also abandoned Derek, and they looked at Derek not with contempt, but with schadenfreude. Old Derek made some small moves and didn't bring them. Now that the tiger was defeated and injured by the tiger, it was naturally their turn to express themselves. Not to mention that none of the wall-riding factions are pure, everyone is secretly connecting with the other two factions. With Derek's lessons learned, these people simply clarified their lineup before being exposed. There are both moderates and radicals who are optimistic. In the end, 6 families led people to stand on the side of the moderates, and the rest went with the radicals. The wall-riding faction, which had been reluctant to form its own faction, disintegrated in an instant, leaving only Old Derek alone. As for the officers under him, this time also turned to the radicals. The reality is like this, facing choices and changes all the time, just like Old Derek is now very afraid and has not shaken his choice. Old Derek sincerely hopes that his old friends will not regret it later. He has given the last chance, and he can't blame him after that. During the banquet, the flow of people turned, and because more than a dozen families relined up, both Rhodes and Edwin restrained and did not do anything. At such a time, no matter who makes the first move, it will be badly reprimanded, which is an unlikely choice for Rhodes and Edwin, who cherish their wings very much. Well, that's what it says in theory. Shut, a crisp sound sounded, and then a black thing fell to the ground and exploded. It was a flashbang, a dazzling white light that stabbed the eyes of most of the people at the party. The flashbang is not very useful in the pirate world where hockey is rampant, and the cost is not low. There are very few people who really use and study this thing. But it's more than enough to create some confusion among the general population. In the dazzling white light, both the moderates and the radicals became blind, thinking that the other party was about to attack. Anxiety made them sway from side to side and let out chaotic shouts. The real murder comes from kilometers away. In the seaside part of the villa area, where the local tyrants of the villa area park their private yachts, a lighthouse more than 60 meters high has also been built. At the top of the lighthouse, the original guard had been stunned to the ground, and a blocker was on standby here for a long time. The sniper's life in the world of pirates is not easy. Not only must he see far and hit accurately, but in the face of many existences that can sense murderous aura, the sniper must carefully gather his breath before firing a deadly shot. The dazzling white light of a flashbang is the best signal in the dark. The next moment he saw the white light, the sniper had already set up his sniper gun, and in front of the double mirror, the leader of the radical group, Rhodes' head, appeared impressively. Without hesitation, the sniper pulled the trigger. Bang! The sniper rifle spat out a fire snake, and a pitch-black bullet shot out instantly. This is a carefully polished Seastone stun gun bullet, and only this kind of bullet can guarantee that the target will die when hit in the world of pirates. After firing this bullet, the blocker immediately jumped into the sea with the gun without looking at the result. It's not self-confidence, but there is only one chance. After his first shot, someone will come to arrest him. If he doesn't want to die, he must run away immediately. And he has only one such bullet. There was no problem with the sniper's strength, and the deadly bullet also flew towards Rhodes' head. This is the sniper's only chance, and the bullet's speed and accuracy have no issues. The sniper failed. A streak of blood and minced meat exploded in front of Rhodes, and the two corpses fell to the ground. At the most critical time, the old woman who was brought by Rhodes by his side felt murderous, and pulled the two wall-riding men at a speed invisible to the naked eye to block Rhodes in front of him. These two unlucky bastards only felt that their eyes were blinded by white light, and then they were thrown into the air by a force. Then there was no more. The deadly stun gun bullet passed through the bodies of the two, and the huge power continued to fly forward after frying the eye-catching part of the two into minced meat, and finally the one beside Rhodes who was reacted a man with metal gloves blocked it. After the effect of the flash bomb passed, everyone saw the scene in the banquet hall. Two bloody corpses, and the metal glove parked in front of Rhodes' head. A slender bullet was buried in the glove at this time, and white eyes kept popping up. It doesn't need to be said, everyone knows that Rhodes has just been assassinated, and it's a close call. Kill. Go on. The leaders of the two factions said at the same time that no one would believe what they said at this time, and it became inevitable to do it. Whether the moderates arranged for the sniper to assassinate Rhodes, or whether Rhodes directed and acted out the outbreak of the battle, depends on who the victor is. At this time, in a room on the second floor, Derek, Momoshige and Chin Luo chuckled after hearing the movement below. And why is the bullet that Momoshige is playing with in his hand so familiar, like? Chapter 582 Moving Bailey. Naturally, it will not be these pampered family patriarchs. These people will be able to do it with a few three-legged cat skills. If they expect them to fight, it is better to spare them. The rule of the banquet is that each person can bring an additional guard to wait indoors, but the guard can only stay in the lounge at the back. The real banquet place, these people are not allowed to enter. France, to the banquet in such a grand manner as Rhodes. After Rhodes and Edwin's orders were given, the first ones to arrive must be the guards who were waiting in the lounge at the back. None of the people who can be the bodyguards with the sheets or salted fish. When the gentlemen sent these people in, they had a hunch that something big would happen, and they were ready to support them at any time. The moderates had the upper hand at the door, and men and soldiers kept coming in through the door. For a time, the radicals were crushed and retreated. However, the radicals are not vegetarians, and it is not only the moderates who make arrangements in the villa area. The sound of clap, crack, sounded, and all the windows on the first floor of the Drake family's mansion were smashed. Because the door was occupied by the moderates, the troops of the radicals had to use the windows to enter the room. As the old saying goes, when God closes a door, you quickly smash the 450 windows so that God doesn't even close the window for you. From the beginning of the battle, the peace in the villa area will never come back, and countless mercenaries, pirates, bounty hunters and gangsters streamed out of the villas. Because there are too many hired forces and the distribution is relatively noisy, these mercenaries, pirates, gang members and bounty hunters can't tell who is from which faction. You can't always fight people when you see them. After you beat them to death, you find that the other party and yourself are hired by the same faction, which can be said to be very funny. No one will say what faction they belong to. Who can be sure that Joe Wei is your friend, not your enemy? Moreover, these friendly forces may even give you a knife in the back when you let down your guard. By then, it will not be too late to cry to the god of death that you trust others. Therefore, two groups of people who do not know each other can often be seen running calmly on the left and right sides of the same street, and even made a gentleman's agreement not to attack each other. Such a scene will continue to the vicinity of the Drake family mansion. Those who are hired don't know who their comrades are, but the radicals and moderates who hire them don't. And whether to go to the radicals who occupied the windows or to the moderates who controlled the gates of the mansion was the best way to distinguish the camps of these people. Most of the two teams that parted ways at this time will politely say, "There will be a period later." Of course, it would be naive to think that this is the end. At the moment when they turned to each other, the two groups turned around at the same time, and greeted each other with weapons. "Hey bro, are you going to sneak attack?" "Hey, what a coincidence, me too." This situation is not uncommon. In South Hill Rough, a city where merchants are the masters, wealth is everything, and money can buy most things. The richer you are in South Hill Rough, the more you can do whatever you want. For example, the 99 council members. Were you chosen by South Hill Rough? Wrong. These seats are bought by these members from the Management Chamber of Commerce in the form of donations with real money, and this money will be used as the daily expenses of the Chamber of Commerce. The time limit for each seat is 5 years. If there are no major problems, after 5 years, the seat will be rebid and auctioned. Even the long-established Rhodes and Edwin families cannot avoid this. You can't even pay the money, and you want to use the power of Parliament, the only way is to dream. So, go to hell with any gentleman's agreement, any morality, it's not too real to take your head to the employer to collect money. In order to make these hired people work harder, the stipulation that the corpse of the enemy can be exchanged for bonuses is written in all employment contracts. Therefore, the enemy on the opposite side is clearly the moving bailie. But if you want to make up the count with civilians and the bodies of your own people, these chamber members aren't fools. The first floor of the Derrick family mansion became the largest meat grinder in the entire villa area, and the small space became a place for two groups of people to fight. The long table of the banquet was put down as a cover, the swords collided, and the screams and gunshots were not heard. There was a thick layer of blood on the ground, and the once ornate wool carpet looked like it had been soaked in red dye. The people outside knew that the fighting inside was very fierce, so they kept filling in. Whichever side fails to fill in first, whichever side fails will come. In addition, the outside is not a good place, and the battle has never stopped, so killing outside is not killing. Is there a missing force? To be precise, someone has disappeared. This is the mansion of the Drake family after all, and the old Drake is far more familiar with this place than others. At the beginning of the battle, his captain of the guard guarded him and retreated little by little to the edge of the closet. As old Derrick triggered a small trap, a big hole appeared under the two of them. With a sound of shoo, there were still two figures, and the big hole disappeared, returning to the original floor. Old Derrick's actions were not unnoticed. The old Derrick, who is still the focus just now, has always been watched by Rhodes and Edwin. It's just that none of them plan to stop them. You must know that although Rhodes' subordinates have an old woman with the strength of Vice Admiral compared to Edwin's side, the other party also has a guard with the strength of Vice Admiral. As long as he is not sure to solve the old Derrick in the first time, Rhodes cannot give up his advantage for this. And Edwin's side, not to mention, is already inferior to Rhodes' side, so it is even more impossible to separate out a Master of Admiral's strength to deal with old Derrick. Let the old fox run away again, Rhodes and Edwin tacitly cursed in their hearts. Anyway, as long as the other party is cleaned up, old Derrick won't be able to dance for long. Across the crowd in the fierce battle, Edwin and Rhodes collided with cold eyes, and they all knew what the other was thinking. Get rid of the three to help me take the head of the old man on the opposite side. After the completion of the matter, I will give you all the things I promised you. Having a greater advantage in high-end combat power gives Rhodes more initiative. Following Rhodes' orders, the three people who have been protecting him all the time walked towards Edwin. Chapter 583 A Decent Person. The group of Rhodes did not know where they recruited the three powerhouses. Not to mention their strength, the key is that their abilities are rather strange. The old woman who has already shot and the muscular man with metal gloves on his hands are both melee masters who specialize in fighting skills. The weapon of the muscular man is naturally the pair of gloves in his hand. After wrapping his fists with armament hockey, every punch creates a gust of wind. Ordinary soldiers simply can't take a random punch from a muscular man. Not only will they be knocked off immediately, but Yujin will also shatter all the bones near the spot where the fist is concentrated. This residual energy is reflected on the ground, and it is a spider web-like crack with a radius of about 1 meter blooming on the ground. The weapon that the old woman had hidden under the robe was also revealed, and it turned out to be a pair of iron claws. Half-meter-long iron claws were mounted on the old woman's arms. After the battle started, the iron claws that were retracted were ejected and fit on the position of the fingers. At this moment, the old woman's hands seemed to be transformed into demon claws, reaping life frantically. Why is it crazy? It should be because this person does not distinguish between enemy and me when killing people. In the eyes of the old woman, weak people are like mustards, and if you kill them, you will kill them. Wherever the old woman passed, a storm of death suddenly erupted, and the stumps, broken arms and severed heads were all warning others to stay away from those who didn't want to die. The old woman's attack is not strong, her characteristic is extremely high speed. The person killed by the old woman often only sees her afterimage. It is too late when she feels the danger. The old woman may have cut his body with sharp iron claws, but the nerves have not yet reacted. That's it. Seeing the old woman's speed, a doubt in Qin Luo's heart was also answered. No wonder Morgan still doesn't know who's behind the scenes after receiving multiple letters one after another. What if the people at the newspaper could find some clues along the mailing address? What if the people at the newspaper were watching where the letter was sent? With the speed of an old woman, it is completely possible to quickly sneak into Morgan's office, leave the envelope, and then leave safely. Even if the people in the newspaper office felt that someone was breaking in, they were helpless with the old woman hiding under the cloak, and they couldn't even see the real appearance. And the third person among the masters recruited by Rhodes is a devil fruit ability user. In South Blue, it's a celebrity. The other party did not enter the Great Route, but his strength and many evil deeds were notorious to the point of being a household name. If you compare the pirates with the same bounty of 200 million to this person, at least 80% of South Blue people will think the pirates are cuter. Paramesha Cement Fruit Ability. His name is not obvious, because most people call him the Cement Devil. The ability of the Cement Demon is to cement the body, because the state of cement varies from completely liquid to hard solid, so the Cement Demon can also control the body to transform into various forms. Generally can be divided into 3 forms. Completely liquid, not afraid of the fluid state of swords and firearms, gel state with strong viscosity, and solid state with strong hardness. In addition, the Cement Demon can also use cement to quickly prepare various bunkers, and props are used to deal with the enemy. But that's not why he's been called the Cement Devil. The Cement Demon is best known for his ability to cement matter. Anything touched by a Cement Demon will slowly turn into cement. Different from the petrochemical ability of the Empress, this transformation is irreversible, that is, the kind that can be killed or buried. The living human sculpture incident was caused by the Cement Demon using this ability. An entire town has been transformed into cement sculptures by Cement Demons. Such a sculpture is so lifelike, and the confusion and fear of these people before their death are left on the sculpture. The appearance of the Cement Demon caused chaos in the scene, and everyone from that camp was terrified by this demon. The Cement Demon is also a murderous demon, and there is no distinction between enemy and me. On his way to going, there were many more human-shaped sculptures, and he kept mumbling something like, "Sculpture is the best art." Another monster twisted in art. What is this monster? He cursed secretly, and the swordsman on Edwin's side met the muscular man and the old woman at the same time with 2 swords. It's not that the swordsman wants to fight 1 against 2, but he doesn't want to face the more troublesome Cement Demon. If his two favorite knives are turned into cement by that monster, he doesn't know who to cry to. The remaining men in suits frowned, but didn't say much, facing the more difficult cement demon. As soon as the man in the suit shot, Chin Luo knew that this man was a member of the world government, and he was from the secret troops from CP0 to CP9. Chin Luo is too familiar with the attack method of a man in a suit, isn't it? Marine Rokushiki. Marine Rokushiki, as the secret legend of the world government and marine, is not something that some stinky fish and rotten shrimp outside wants to steal and imitate. Without a systematic training method, there will only be 4 dissimilarities. A world government member with the level of Admiral's strength is nothing, but Chin Luo is more concerned about when Edwin's group hooked up with the world government. When these masters were fighting, Rhodes and Edwin were not idle. They fought with their own unique fighting style. Big man in a suit, as long as you stop and quit now, the old man promised you as much as I promised you. Rhodes yelled. Man in suit. 5%, I'll give another 50%. Man in suit. Don't be too greedy, double, I'll double, you just kill the old Edwin. Man in suit. The man in the suit didn't hear it. That is impossible. But as reinforcements sent by the world government, the man in the suit did not look down on Rhodes' promise at all. How much can you give Rhodes? Could it be possible that you can give the entire South Hill Rough to the world government? Furthermore, with Rhodes' ambition, letting him rule South Sharaf would only be detrimental to the world government. Fuck, dare to ignore me, be careful that I will kill all the forces behind you. Rhodes, who was always ignored, said angrily. The man in the suit spoke now. Okay, I'll tell them. Seeing this scene, Chin Luo and Edwin's expressions are very exciting. Others don't know, but they both know very well that the force behind the man in the suit is the world government. What is this called? A man's arm is a chariot or a stone is struck with an egg. Chin Luo could imagine how Rhodes was knocked on the door by the agents from CP0 to CP9 in the middle of the night to deliver the courier. Lord is also a decent person when he is angry. Let's spit and go. Chapter 584. The mall is like a battlefield. Edwin was not idle when Rhodes was poking around. The main thing about poaching people is that there is a back and forth. As Edwin's main target, Muscle Man is constantly receiving Edwin's golden bullets. No matter how disdainful the muscular man was at him in the beginning, Edwin never stopped. There is no way, Edwin has no choice. Looking around among the 3 masters under Rhodes, no matter what he thinks, the cement demon and the old woman who kill the red-eyed enemy and I are all hot potatoes. I don't know what Rhodes promised the 2 of them, and Edwin didn't dare to make promises and conditions for these 2 people. If the demands of these 2 people are particularly perverted, is he going to keep his promise? Or keep promises? In South Blue, not even the oldest family of South Hill Rough dared to deceive such 2 mad masters, unless the whole family was tired of living. Not to mention, the role of the Golden Bullet offensive still has some effects. From the disdain at the beginning, the muscular man became a little hesitant. This hesitation is evident in the muscular man's attack. As long as it is a master, it can be seen that the speed of the muscular man is much slower than before, and the angle of attack is not so tricky. Is 100 million Bailey enough? Not enough, just another 200 million. The muscular man looked thoughtful, and it seemed that 300 million Bailey could already be considered. Seeing the drama, Edwin took a moment and directly mentioned 600 million Bailey. Here Edwin used the usual head-starting tactics at auctions. It seems that the price has doubled at once, but in fact, 600 million is still within the range of his heart. In exchange for 600 million Bailey to win this battle, it will not be a loss. Isn't the value of the supreme ruler of South Hill Rough less than this mere 600 million? Slowly bargaining to 600 million and doubling the price to 600 million at one time will naturally have different effects on the hearts of muscular men. Edwin's decisiveness and arrogance of spending a lot of money really shocked the heart of the muscular man. It was also from this time that the muscular man's attack became hesitant, which was equivalent to disguised release. In order to persuade the muscular man to go against the water, this is not all Edwin's means. This time, Edwin prepared a 100% anti-water deluxe package for him. 600 million Bailey can't be spent for a while, worried that the gold coins are not enough to preserve their value. Never mind, I replaced half of it with various real estate and shops that held value. It's not about having money, you have to have power. It just so happens that South Hill Rough needs a new chief of security, and I think you're a perfect fit. And what do you think of the South Hill Rough luxury cruise? Go for it. What are you thinking? I certainly didn't mean to give you the South Hill Rough. Muscular man with a black question mark on his face, is he teasing me? I mean, how can something so old be given away? I'll order a brand new one for you. Edwin took a sudden turn after the muscular man was confused. Alas, this is very comfortable. If it weren't for his own lack of moral integrity, the muscular man would hug Edwin's thigh on the spot and tell the local tyrant to make friends. Not to mention the muscular man, even the two swordsmen who are fighting against the muscular man are a little tasteful, and Edwin's conditions for his opponent are too generous. Rhodes was so angry that he gritted his teeth. If it was only about money, he was really no match for Edwin and the others. Over the years, a lot of funds from the Rhodes family have been poured into the cultivation of secret forces. No money to build an intelligence network covering the entire South Hill Rough. Does it cost nothing to train a fleet that can annihilate the Guardian family? Raising masters without money. These are not only money, but also big money eaters. Chin Luo, who is developing his own power recently, is deeply touched by this. Rhodes didn't mind signing some empty checks, but now the families on the field basically know the truth. I'm afraid that the moment the empty checks are signed, Rhodes will be exposed on the spot by Edwin and the big dogs. Otherwise, the shopping mall is like a battlefield. Here, the confrontation of means between Rhodes and Edwin is not at all easier than fighting. Casually setting up empty city tactics will only make him fall into a situation of doom. In order to save some face, Rhodes first reassured the muscular man that he would double his promise after the fight, and then Rhodes also found the swordsman who was fighting against the muscular man. This great swordsman, no matter what conditions the old man gave you, I will give you 4 times. Regardless of the 3,721, Rhodes directly doubled the conditions for the swordsman. This is what he wanted to do with Edwin just now, stun the swordsman directly. The swordsman had been waiting for Rhodes to speak for a long time. He did not want to betray Edwin, but taking this opportunity, the swordsman took the opportunity to vent his taste and jealousy. Looking at the resentful eyes of the swordsman, he is clearly saying, if you don't increase the price for me, boss, I am afraid you will lose this baby. Got it, got it. Edwin immediately stated that his original promise would remain unchanged, and that he would give 300 million more Baileys after the victory. Edwin looked at Rhodes contemptuously and said, you ignorant brat, you don't even know what the promise is, so you dare to offer 4 times the conditions. I'd like to know where you can get the 4 supreme swords. Second job. Quote. Rhodes sucked in a breath of cold air, and yes, the only person who can impress a candidate admiral's powerful swordsman is the sword, but it is not too extravagant to work with the supreme sword. Not to mention 4, I have never heard of any one of the 12 supreme swordsmen appearing in the world in recent years. Gorosei, 5 elders is now in Chin Luo's hands. And after becoming the world's #1 swordsman, Hawkeye's sword Hidoe has not yet fallen into Hawkeye's hands. Now Hawkeye is just using a sharper black knife. The Derrick family's mansion, the battle situation at this time is quite interesting. In terms of low 0.3 end combat power, Rhodes has the advantage, but in terms of high-end combat power, their situation is not optimistic. Although the muscular man has not yet rebelled, it will be a matter of time before he is seduced by the old man Edwin. The other 2 masters under Rhodes were quite unreliable. Needless to say, the cement demon, no one can command him at all. The old woman knew that the muscular man had released the water, but did not remind Rhodes of his plan, but took advantage of the opportunity of the muscular man and the swordsman to paddle, and kept hunting and killing the soldiers approaching the 3 of them. Beside the old woman, the new corpse fell far faster than the number of times she attacked Jono. Rode admitted that he was not the old man's opponent in digging the wall, but it was absolutely impossible for him to sit still like this. Chapter 585 Arrange. Everyone knows that the dead can't keep their promises, whether it's the proposer or the promiser. The easiest way to break the game now is to kill Edwin, before the muscle man rebels. Yes, as long as the old man dies, the muscular man can only continue to help Rhodes even if he is upset, unless the muscular man doesn't even want his promise. Moreover, the swordsman can also be persuaded by him. You can't get the 12 great swordsmen, but if it's only the 21 great swords, Rhodes is sure to get one. So as long as the old man dies, it's fine. Rhodes quickly retrieved the whole cards he still had in his hand. At the level of Vice Admiral's combat power, both sides still have one or two in their hands, but at this moment these people are either commanding or already fighting on the front line. Vice Admiral's level is strong enough in South Blue, but it is unlikely that he wants to kill the old man all the way in such a melee. After all, the same swordsman, the man in the suit is so powerful. The two sides tried their best to ask Grandpa to tell Grandma, but they only hired 5, and most of them were abnormal. Even if it was just hiring, both Rhodes and Edwin paid a very distressing price. This is not a joke. There are 19 differences between Admiral and Vice Admiral, one is in the sky and the other is underground. Marine's top 3 are the only exceptions, they just haven't been promoted yet. Alternate Admiral's strength is a little worse than Admiral's, but in Vice Admiral, he is a super first-class existence. It seems that there is nothing wrong with one team. Since the manpower could not be counted on, Rhodes couldn't help but think of assassination. If the old woman is willing to make a sneak attack, it would be best, but if others are having a good time in the killing game, it is unlikely that they will listen to Rhodes. The person Rhodes tried to send over to shout was chopped up by her before she got close to the old woman. After that, Rhodes also gave up this idea. The slain slayer, who had been trained for many years, looked like a common mercenary and touched Edwin's side little by little. At the high point of the villa area, Rhodes' snipers pointed their guns in the direction of Edwin after receiving the order. The super aim was deployed, and even if the dead men didn't succeed, it was enough to push Edwin into a position where the sniper could see. Speaking of the sniper, Rhodes felt angry. He secretly prepared some to play the role of a surprise soldier, but he didn't know which second force exposed the existence of the sniper at the beginning. The most important thing is which one the gun was still aimed at his head. The bullet was blocked in front of his forehead. To be honest, the feeling of brushing past death was really bad, and Rhodes naturally put the account on the moderates. The moderates expressed their innocence. What sniper? They are not ready at all. But since then, moderates have also known that there are snipers out there. This is also the first floor of the Derrick family, and no one is willing to leave the house. Is it exposed to the sniper's field of vision, betting on the opponent's mistakes with one's own life, or trembling in the house? Smart people know how to choose. Edwin was still sitting on the muscle man's work chattering, and the muscle man's hesitation gave him the feeling that the other party would be immediately dismissed by himself. In fact, the muscle man and the swordsman are just blatantly paddling. If you only need to do a show and get paid far more than before, why not do it? The old woman also focused on the fun of killing, and was not very good at dealing with the tough bones of the swordsman. The three of them were in a state of harmony. Edwin did not expect the violent attack of the dead, and 6 people dressed as mercenaries suddenly aimed at him 50 meters away from Edwin. The 6 dead men completely ignored their opponents. With the determination to die, they took out their chest guns and aimed at Edwin. Bang, bang, bang. 6 consecutive shots were fired within a second, causing the atmosphere on the entire first floor to freeze. This dagger-sized gun was specially made by Rhodes. It is extremely powerful and can be fired almost instantly within a distance of 100 meters. Both its speed and lethality are twice that of ordinary firearms. The bullets are still made of sea stone. Of course, as a price, this gun has a chance to shoot after it is built. The bullets are preset in advance. After the bullets are fired, the gun will explode due to its powerful force, which is no less powerful than a grenade. Obviously, the 6 dead men will not survive. At the critical moment, a guard with the strength of Vice Admiral next to Edwin pushed him away and took the 6 bullets instead of Edwin. The guard was naturally dead and could no longer die, and 5 bullet holes the size of the mouth of a bull were opened on him. The old man is not all right, his left ear disappeared directly. The bullet that was shot at him took away his ear with just a slight swipe. The glasses worn by the old man also blew the lenses into pieces under the influence of this force, and the glass slag was directly splashed into the eyes of the old man. A large amount of blood flowed out from the ears and eyes of the old man. The old man covered his head and wailed a few steps behind him under the pain, as if he was about to lean against the wall. Although the old man was not dead, Rhodes still showed a satisfied smile. The place where the old man's hind legs were located was not a wall, but a 617 window beside the gate. Idiot. The man in the suit who was fighting with the cement demon, that is, a member of CP, cursed inwardly and had to throw off his opponent and run towards the old man. The man in the suit's mission is to help the old man gain the dominion of South Hill Rough. If the old man dies, the mission will fail. The cement demon wouldn't just let the man in the suit go there. If you want to leave, then leave a little price. The gray light gathered in the hands of the cement demon, and punched the right waist of the CP member who was about to turn away. Armament hockey covering the CP member's right waist immediately turned into shards of glass. After the fist hit, it turned into a claw and scratched hard on it. The man in the suit was ready to be charged tolls, but he didn't expect how serious it would be. More than half of the flesh and blood on the right waist was petrified into cement, and when the cement demon stopped, a piece was taken away fiercely. The body's feedback came quickly, and the man in the suit felt that his internal organs had been petrified a lot, and the severe pain rushed to his throat with a mouthful of old blood. And all this is to save the old man in front of him. In the last half second, the man in the suit rushed behind the old man and blocked most of the sniper rifle bullets with the iron block inside the marine rokushiki. Chapter 586 Anti-Water Monster. Why most of it, you can tell by looking at the new wound on the old man's thigh. Time is limited, and in a pinch, the man in the suit can only block the bullets that are shot at the vital parts. It can be regarded as a lesson for this old man who retired blindly. He has paid a lot of price for him. This old man has nothing to do. Is this appropriate? Obviously inappropriate. Of course, these words can only be thought in the mind of the man in the suit, and he won't say it. The bullet from the sniper rifle penetrated the old man's thigh and got into the floor. And such a little effort was enough for the frightened guards to come back to their senses and help the old man Edwin, who fell to the ground back. Received multiple injuries one after another, especially 2 from the ears and eyes. The massive flow of blood made the old man Edwin weaker. This kind of injury is enough for a young man, let alone an old man in his 50s or 60s. The man in the suit only felt that he was losing blood. Moderates can only simply treat the old man's wound and stop the bleeding. Whether the old man's life can be saved is still a matter of choice, but the flesh on his right waist has truly said goodbye to him. It happened a bit suddenly, and it was a bit of a surprise for the swordsman and muscular man who were fake fighting. To be honest, the muscular man was quite satisfied with the conditions offered by the old man Edwin. He has already thought about it. If the moderates have the advantage behind him, he will personally take off the head of his current employer, Rhodes. I just helped Rhodes block the bullet that was shot in his head, even if he owed me. It's a pity that now the old man is lying on the ground breathing out more and less, and he will die just by looking at it. The conditions given by the old man before will not be honored after the old man dies. Thinking of this, there was a dangerous aura in the muscular man's eyes. The swordsman had a premonition that something was wrong, but he was still a step too late. The sword in the swordsman's right hand was shaken by a force, and then a black tiger hammered his heart into his chest. The sound of crackling sounded, and the swordsman knew that he had at least 3 broken ribs in his chest. And that's just the beginning. The muscular man felt that he needed to restore his image in the heart of his employer, Rhodes. Armament, Hockey rubbed his arms around him. With the first punch, the muscular man shook off the swordsman's long knife who hadn't reacted yet. The second punch, an uppercut slammed into the swordsman's chest from bottom to top, and the strong inertia and force flew the swordsman into the air. The excess energy passed through the swordsman's body, and a fist-sized hole was opened in the clothes behind the swordsman. The third punch, or the fourth, fifth, and sixth punches behind. The swordsman who was floating in the air was slammed by a violent storm. The shadow of the fist in the sky pressed the swordsman in the air to blast the hammer, and the scorching flames were generated in the shadow of the fist and burned roaringly. Every time there is a strength, the clothes behind the swordsman will be broken and penetrated. These strengths gradually disappeared until the ceiling was smashed through and the room on the second floor was baptized. By the time the beating was over, the clothes on the swordsman's back had rotted into rags. The swordsman was still in the air, and the muscular man who finished the set withdrew his fists, and a large amount of steam spewed out from behind his arms, as if the steam engine was overloaded, and the flames generated by friction with the air gradually extinguished. As the saying goes, taking advantage of your illness to kill you, the muscular man took a horse stance and swung his right hand back. Armament hockey surged up on his right hand, turning into a monster that chose people to devour. I couldn't see how he punched. The next moment the muscular man's fist appeared in front of the swordsman's head. It was like a sudden flash of lightning in the dark night, until the fist hit the enemy, and the muffled sound of the fist breaking the sound barrier was slowly heard. With a squeak, the swordsman crossed his knives to block the punch. I think of you as my acting friend, but you want to kill me, it's too much, brother. The swordsman did not expect that the muscular man would be so shameless. He would turn his face when he said he turned his face, and he would kill him as soon as he came. Whoever is telling him that muscular men are honest people with no brains will be treated as liars. Although the last punch hit the swordsman's knife, the swordsman still flew out with tremendous force, smashing several walls one after another, and stopped on the wall of the villa next to him. It's a big loss, the swordsman said in a low voice, not knowing whether he was talking about the injury on his body or the two swords with cracks. Reluctantly got up from the ground, the swordsman was not in a hurry to kill him. This time, it was the swordsman's turn to consider whether to be an anti-water monster. It had nothing to do with him who ruled South Hill Rath. They came here to fight and get paid by the way. Who would have thought that they didn't get the pay, and they almost left their lives here. This world is too cold. There is no trust between people. The swordsman sighed and wiped the blood from the knife. Hey, where did the blood come from? You probably never imagined that just when you blocked the fist of the muscular man, the swordsman on the outside had the blade facing outwards. In other words, the muscular man's fist smashed directly on the blade. At this moment, the muscular man is hiding his bloody right fist, while aiming at Rhodes' simple and honest issue. Maybe it was because the moderates felt that the trend was over, and the old woman and the cement demon were killing the moderates little by little. Since we are about to get paid, such a little face is still to be given to the boss. As the cement demon emerges from the man in the suit's fight, his ability and cruelty as a demon is revealed little by little. At a distance of more than 10 meters, more than 30 concrete sculptures have appeared during the movement of the cement demon, and these sculptures were still alive in the last minute. Every person touched by the cement demon, the location of the contact, the gray of the cement ripples like a plague, until the whole person is petrified. Every time a person is petrified, the cement demon has to discuss his new works, such as the material is too ugly, the expression is not scary enough, and the eyes are too empty. He thinks that he is creating art, but in fact he is just playing with life, and only the devil calls playing with life art. The same is harvesting life, although the old woman did it very bloody, either breaking her hands or breaking her feet, but I don't know why I still think the cement demon is more evil. At this time, the old woman accidentally cut off a sculpture, and people could see the situation inside the sculpture. From the incision, a large amount of blood flowed out. Those who turned into sculptures were not all petrified, and the human flesh and blood were still kept in the middle. This means that the person who becomes the sculpture does not die immediately, but only takes his last breath after struggling feebly. Chapter 587 Choose. After reaching such a conclusion, everyone understood a little more about the cruelty with the cement demon. Both radicals and moderates consciously stayed 3 or 4 meters away from the cement demon. The result of this is naturally very dissatisfied with the cement demon. Others are in the mood to create, how can there be less material around them? So the more frantic hunting began. In this situation, CP's member, the man in suit, had nothing to do. He was seriously injured and barely protected in front of a group of members of the moderate faction. Before the swordsman came back, it would be an absolute act of courting death to try to fight 3 by oneself. This man is disgusting, Chin Luo, kill him later. Momosugi, who saw this scene on the 2nd floor through a video phone bug, said involuntarily. Beside her, Chin Luo, the Derek father and son, and their captain of the guard couldn't help nodding their heads. There was a lot of sweat on old Derek's head, which was definitely not hot in terms of the current temperature, so old Derek was a cold sweat from being frightened. His son was even more unbearable, his face was pale, and he held his mouth with one hand, looking very uncomfortable. Before some sour-smelling substances appeared in the room, Chin Luo waved his hand, and a red bead appeared in his hand. A little vitality rippled into Derek's nose, instantly relieving his symptoms. Chin Luo found that this devouring the stored vitality has many effects, not only to stimulate wound healing, but also to have miraculous effects on some adverse physical symptoms. Ignoring Derek's thanks, Chin Luo followed Momosugi's words and replied, "No problem, I always kill one monster and one monster with such a twisted human nature." Chin Luo pondered that he was almost ready to shoot, the power consumption on both sides was almost the same, and it was almost time to close the net. Just now, Guideng Shuiyu and dried persimmon ghost shark sent a message through the phone bug that all the members of the Guardian family were rescued without any omission. Chin Luo doesn't have to pay attention to the lives of people like Rhodes, he can do whatever he wants. The most labor-saving way is to wait for the radicals like Rhodes to kill the moderates, and then Chin Luo will clean up the radicals on the stage. But no matter how well planned it is, it cannot keep up with the speed of change. Knowing that his side was in a bad situation, just before the moderate old man Edwin took his last breath, he signaled the moderate side to open the last trump card. Only to hear the old man say tremblingly, "2nd Battalion Commander, where's your goddamn Italian cannon? Bring it to me." Whoops, we're on stage. The reality is this. The old man, who knew that the situation was extremely bad, said in a low voice, "Execute Plan C and let our gunners bombard the entire Drake family villa directly." Several other moderate members listened, their feet trembled, and they almost fell to the ground. The old man himself was about to die, and he even thought of pulling everyone to be buried with him. Even the man in the suit couldn't help but glance at the old man after hearing it. This old guy was ruthless enough that he didn't even plan to let him go. Before the fighting started tonight, only 2 plans, A and B, were discussed on the moderate side. In Plan A, everyone will break into the Drake family's mansion and wipe out all the radicals at the banquet. Now that Plan A is no longer feasible, in theory, Plan B should be carried out. That is, the people of the moderate faction fought and retreated, leading the pursuers of the radical faction into the ambush circle. There, the moderates deployed enough artillery and explosives to keep the radicals from coming and going. The so-called Plan C is an extension of Plan B, which is actually a rejected plan. Plan C was proposed by a man in a suit, taking advantage of the moderates, advantage of holding most of the South Hill RAF's artillery, and directly using the artillery to complete the blockade of the villa area. As long as sufficient ammunition and artillery are prepared, the villa area will be wiped out in the baptism of successive artillery fires. For details, please refer to Marine's slaughter order. Such a plan is so insane that many members of the moderate wing strongly oppose it. Slaughtering orders, this is not as simple as 3 words. The people behind it represent each and every life, not far away. In the near future, O'Hara's tragic situation is still vivid in my eyes. After so long, the island where O'Hara used to be is still a scorched earth, without any life. The villa area is the symbol of the Chamber of Commerce in South Hill Rough. The destruction of the villa area will be a very serious blow to the image of the Chamber of Commerce. In addition to the radicals in the villa area, the moderates also arranged many of their own troops and mercenaries in the villa, plus some other innocent people. Don't they care about the lives of these people? The most important thing is who will carry the blame, once Plan C is implemented. The reason why these people are called moderates is that the bottom line is still relatively high. While cherishing feathers and cherishing fame, he is also indecisive and a woman's benevolence. For this kind of situation, men in suits are naturally very contemptuous. In the end, this proposal was left unfinished. Unexpectedly, the old man Edwin arranged it secretly. But, in this way, we can go first. Others of the moderate faction faltered to oppose the old man's order, but after thinking for a long time, they couldn't find a more suitable way. Idiot, do you think that with the 3 high-level combat powers on the opposite side, we can still run away? The old man lying on the ground spat out another mouthful of blood because of his excitement. No one answered this question because the answer was already obvious. What are you worried about? Even if we die, haven't the heirs of the family behind us already been chosen? As long as all the fighting forces of the radicals are eliminated here, won't the future South Hill Rath be ruled by our family? For the future of the family, how can we sacrifice some? The others looked at each other, speechless. The old man said it was easy. He didn't have a few years to live and sacrificed for the family. We want to live a few more years. Seeing that there was no response, the old man continued, and I'm ready. I have all the letters that the Drake family sent to both sides. When the time comes, I will throw the blame for bombarding the villa area on the Drake family. Just say that the 2 sides are trying to get the dominion of South Hill Rough in this way. Quote. The people next to him couldn't help taking a deep breath, looking at the old man as if he were looking at a monster. He didn't plan to make the Drake family feel better in the first place. Time was running out, and as the cement demons and old women continued to slaughter, fewer and fewer soldiers stood in front of the moderate members. The old man's constant coughing was also urging them to make a decision. From the old man's proposal to the decision, 2 minutes, 1 minute, maybe less. Chapter 588, PY Transaction. Sacrifice heroically or be humble. Under normal circumstances, these people will choose the latter. But there is a more serious problem. Will the person on the opposite side give them a chance to be stubborn? The members of the moderate faction looked at the old woman who was smashed into flesh and blood, and then looked at the demon who made the living sculpture, and the answer was no. So from the beginning, they had only one choice. As the old man expected, these people finally agreed to his plan, intending to perish with the entire Drake mansion. The Drake family, the Rhodes family, the future South Hill Rath will have only one voice, and the family he belongs to will be the master of this voice. Swung a scissor hand at the man in the suit with his trembling fingers. This is by no means playful before death, but represents the 2 conditions that the world government had promised him before. South Hill Rath's artillery was inferior to Marines in both quality and quantity. If the 4 who had the strength of the backup admiral wanted to escape, the artillery would not hit them at all. Not to mention the fast old woman. These 5 people were not within the scope of perishing together in the first place. The artillery fire targeted the Drake family's mansion and other lives in the surrounding area. And after Rhodes died, the masters who couldn't get paid would make a fuss about South Hill Rough at most, and then they would leave. At the same time, Edwin's family will take the Savior's image and take over the rule of South Hill Rough with the support of the world government and Marine. If all goes well, within a year or 2, the Edwins could become kings of South Hill Rough. Yes, the family behind Edwin intends to build their own country in South Hill Rough. Such an idea would have been unimaginable in the merchant city of South Hill Rough, but Rhodes' series of restless actions made it possible. Like a shark with a keen sense of smell, Rhodes thought he was hiding, but in fact Edwin had a premonition of the storm behind him. Marine and the world government Nanherlaugh after the establishment of the kingdom. At the same time the new country will become a member of the world government. Since Marine announced her massive withdrawal from the New World, and has been slammed by the press, her image and majesty have plummeted. The Marine and the world government will focus on the first half of the Great Route and the Four Seas in the north, south, east, and west for decades to come, where they urgently need to re-establish their image. After the messenger of the Edwin family explained their intentions, the two sides hit it off and decided to conduct a PY transaction on the spot. The man in CP's suit nodded tacitly, and a smile appeared on the corners of their mouths at the same time. It's fine for the two of them to know these things, so they don't need to say anything. The man in the suit naturally had no objection to the old man Edwin's decision. In this way, his mission was not considered a failure. As long as the people from the Edwin family will meet the main force sent by Marine and the world government first, even if the number of masters on the opposite side doubles, he will not be afraid. After seeing the man in the suit nodding, the old man closed his bloody eyes, and his life was gone. At the old man's age, an injury of this magnitude would be fatal without immediate treatment. The ability to hold on to the present depends entirely on the obsession in the heart. Now that it's over, it's also a relief for him, at least he doesn't need to endure that kind of pain anymore. Not many people noticed Edwin's death. Rhodes seemed to feel something, and immediately looked towards Edwin's body. The death of the leader of the other party was undoubtedly good news for the radicals, but before Rhodes could be happy, he felt a sense of crisis in his heart. Why did the old man die with a smile on his face? Why hasn't the person on the other side collapsed? What kind of cards have they prepared? A question in a row exhausted Rhodes' inner unease. Doubts come and go quickly, and the voice whistling in the air reveals the answer to everything. The whistling sound was so familiar. As someone who had lived on the ship for several years, Rhodes could hear the sound of shells being fired even if he was separated by a few hundred meters, and could even roughly identify the location of the cannon. This Edwin dared to bombard the mansion because he wanted to drag all the people to bury him with him. Rhodes immediately understood Edwin's intention, because if it were him, it would be the same. Glancing at Edwin's body angrily, Rhodes couldn't even bother to trouble the remaining moderates. He had to solve the immediate crisis first. The two strategies of running and hiding must be chosen immediately. It may be too late to run. Based on Rhodes' knowledge of Edwin, the old man is likely to plow the entire villa area with cannonballs. Of course, if the old woman is willing to take him to run with him, it's another matter. But remembering the other party's own way and crazy behavior, Rhodes gave up on the spot. Then there is only one way to hide. Old Derek just disappeared through a secret passage, which means that the basement of the Derek family exists in a basement or even a secret passage. Rhodes immediately mobilized his subordinates to find the entrance to the basement. As for other things, he should consider it after the shelling is over. 0. The first unlucky ones are the mercenaries outside. The first round of shelling often has the intention of testing, so it is quite unreliable in terms of accuracy. The shells aimed at the Derek family mansion were more frequently smashed on the nearby roads or in the courtyards of other villas. The mercenaries fighting outside were killed at least 3 layers in this wave of shelling, and the rest were almost injured. No one intends to continue to fight, no matter how much money is not important. That is not called dedication, but stupidity. The mercenaries swarmed into the villas on the side. Although these villas would turn into ruins in the next round of artillery fire, there was some psychological comfort. The Drake family's mansion is not without damage. The most special chimney of the mansion was blown off by a cannonball. Many rooms on the 3rd and 2nd floors welcomed uninvited guests, and then the entire room returned to its original form in the fire. The Drake family's mansion is really good, and it doesn't feel shaky in such an explosion. The room where Chin Luo and the others were located was not hit by the shells, but he felt the ground shaking. The faces of Derek and his son were extremely ugly. They were not injured. To say why, it would be distressed. This house is of great significance to their family. The inheritance and repairs from generation to generation have brought the present scene, but will it be destroyed in their father and son's generation today? The whistling sound of the second round of artillery sounded again. This is not wanting to give Rhodes more opportunities and time to escape. Chapter 589 adds special effects. The artillery fire came as expected, and the dark shells fell towards the mansion of the Drake family with a whistling sound. This round of shells will tear everything in this area of the mansion to shreds, which no one doubts. The Drake family can never build their ancestral home into a fortress. When people are in danger, they will always find shelter or lie down on their heads, especially in disasters such as earthquakes and explosions. The time to wait for death and disaster to come is always long. The more tormented the time, the longer the time seems to be, and it can almost be used to break a second into a minute. After a while, not to mention the explosion, not even the sound of artillery shells landing. The soldiers who were manipulating the artillery were stunned. It was the first time they encountered such a strange thing in their artillery career. It's not like the shells just fired are all duds. Even if they are duds, you have to make some noise. The officer in charge of commanding the artillery blinked innocently in the face of his subordinates and higher-ups who kept looking at him. It's useless to see me, I'm also very confused. At this moment, the sky above the Derek family mansion was dotted with a lot of balloons. The black balloons are actually cannonballs. The closest thing to the ground is less than 2 meters away. When you get closer, you can even feel the heat on the cannonballs. In this situation, Chin Luo must have taken action. Even if he doesn't take care of the emotions of Derek and his son, he will not let people blow up his place. Barrier. With a whisper, Chin Luo opened his right hand to the sky outside the window, and an invisible barrier opened to meet the flying shells. The imaginary explosion did not occur. The cannonball slowed down a little above the barrier, and a transparent film quickly wrapped the surface of the cannonball, and then passed through. I don't know when, Chin Luo turned into a membrane mage, which can be said to be quite violent. The essence of the transparent film is a relatively peaceful and ever-changing repulsion force. This repulsion force wears away the momentum of the projectile bit by bit, just like falling into a pile of cotton. The explosion of the cannonball was also restrained by this film, stagnating in midair, reaching a relatively stable state. In theory, as long as Chin Luo removes these repulsive forces, no one destroys this state to death, and the bound shells will not explode. Like some boring swordsman poking with a knife, trying to figure out what happened to the cannonball. The white light and black smoke shot everywhere, and even if the exploding shells didn't kill him, they made him a disgrace. This matter tells other people a truth: death really will kill. The moderate forces in charge of the artillery bombardment will not give up the bombardment because of the second round of bizarre circumstances. There is nothing in the world that can't be solved by 1 round of shelling. If there is, then 2 rounds. Moderates are convinced of this truth. In the world of pirates where the technology tree is completely crooked, maybe Marine has already researched Gundam, Terminator and laser cannons, but the king of hot weapons at sea is still artillery, which is basically a general-purpose type of. This is also the reason why the massacre order is so frightening. When the nuclear bomb, Caesar's detonation, is researched, the slaughter order can go back a little bit. The third and fourth rounds of unbelieving evil came more quickly than before, but the situation did not change. The dark cannonballs covered the entire sky like black pearls, showing a different scene under the moonlight. After the third and fourth rounds of bombardment ended, Chin Luo no longer cared about the bombardment. Since there were no accidents in 3 consecutive rounds, there was only one way for these people to achieve their goals, and that was to bury the entire mansion with countless shells. Made an inviting gesture towards Momoshiki in a gentlemanly manner. In order to cater to the atmosphere of the banquet before, Chin Luo and Momoshiki specially put on the custom-made dresses by Drake and his son. Momoshiki and Chin Luo, who were dressed up, walked down the second floor slowly, while the Drake father and son and the captain of the guard followed behind them. Who is the protagonist of the banquet no longer needs to be explained. The whole first floor was full of blood and corpses, and the living people were still lying on their heads, walking gracefully. Chinluo and Momoshiki made a sound of footsteps when they came down from the second floor. Their hearts. It is equivalent to forcibly inserting a small freshness in the hell style. This kind of weird feeling is like seeing gods and princes from fairy tales. This made the others quickly shake their heads to see if they were hallucinating. It's not a hallucination, but it's not far from a hallucination. Chinluo took Momoshiki to the center of the banquet venue. The blood on the ground did not stain Chinluo's leather boots or Momoshiki's long dress. It is no exaggeration to say that Chinluo's repulsion is under the control of Chinluo within 1 meter. He and Momoshiki did not step on the ground, but stepped out of the invisible repulsion shield. What he wanted was this kind of shocking effect. Chinluo wanted to understand that when he was shocked by the tiger's body, he would have his younger brother bow his head and bow his head. I don't know how to pack myself these days, even gods can't stand the scene. Haven't watched the big bosses of the Eastern and Western gods in the film and television movies when they come on stage with the top Hollywood special effects of dwang, dwang, dwang. Chinluo glanced at him and was quite satisfied with the shock in the eyes of everyone. The 4 masters who were still on the first floor of the Derrick family mansion also looked at Chinluo solemnly. Clearing his throat, Chinluo said to everyone in a gentle voice, "First of all, welcome to the Drake family as guests. The warm-up activities are almost done, now it's time to get to the point. I'll ask you a question." 3.4. Chinluo paused for a while when he said this, giving people a sense of shyness like the boy next door came to borrow something. Submission or death? Ah, is that so? Wait, did I hear something wrong? The other people present looked at each other, confused about the situation. I said, do you surrender or choose to die? Seeing the expressions of disbelief on these people's faces, Chinluo said it again in a dry tone. What are you kidding? What are you? It was a muscular man who was talking. Chinluo's appearance really shocked him, but so what? Chinluo looked weak and weak, but Momoshiki beside him had a good relationship with him. He is about the same strength. Little white face. The muscular man said that what he hated most in his life was the little white face. Chapter 590 Pay More Than. Chinluo was very depressed. His appearance was specially added with special effects. Even so, how could there be people who don't have long eyes to dare to get along with him? Are your special effects too low-key? What is the meaning of knowing the small things, and what is the meaning of low-key luxury? Don't these people understand at all? Do you have to stick a "I'm dangerous" note on yourself, and bring your own BGM and stage lighting effects when you appear, so that these idiots won't come to die? The fact is not as exaggerated as Chinluo thought. His silent appearance was quite effective. It's a pity that the 3 masters on roadside are used to being the frog in the well in South Blue, and they are all unruly characters. And Chinluo's lazy voice and invisible strength were regarded as a little white face by the 3 of them. There is also a limit to the power of a fox and a tiger. If you dare to stand in front of the Lord, even the woman around you can't protect you today. Kept getting closer to Chinluo while squeezing the bones of his fists. Thanks to the swordsman's last counterattack, the metal glove of the muscular man's right hand was completely scrapped, and there was still a very deep knife edge on it. So, Muscle 10 made a mistake and threw the left glove away. It wasn't anything valuable anyway. Armament hockey overflowed from the bandage of his right fist, and the muscular man gave Chinluo a threatening wave, as if to say that he was optimistic so that he would not know what killed him later. In addition to the muscular man, the cement demon and the old woman also looked at Chinluo and the others who came downstairs with bad eyes. Chinluo's last 2 sentences were quite harsh for the 2 of them. In South Blue, they are always the only ones who control and tease others. They didn't do anything but were considering whether to snatch the head, in the hands of the muscular man, in every sense of the word. The old woman's gloomy eyes kept staring at Chin Luo's neck. Chin Luo knew what she wanted to do without even thinking about it, while the cement demon glanced at Momoshiki from time to time, mumbling something. Women want to forget me. How can this little white face make you feel happy? The muscular man made a provocative speech. His original intention was to provoke Momoshiki and seduce Momoshiki to attack, and he would be able to get rid of the little white face first. Momoshiki's body moved involuntarily after hearing the muscular man's trash talk. Don't get me wrong, this level of trash talk is nothing but pediatrics to Momoshiki, who was Marine Vice Admiral for a while. Momoshiki would have become the first Vice Admiral in history to be mad at him if he couldn't accept even such a provocation. Why Momoshiki was provoked, others don't know. Chin Luo, who is beside her, still doesn't know. Momoshiki is completely because the muscular man satirized a certain part of Chin Luo in his words, and snickered there with schadenfreude. I can't bear it, my ability to ridicule myself in front of my own woman. Young man, your thoughts are very dangerous. Do you know about the golden hoop stick? Have you ever seen the 40 big stick? Also, please understand the hardness of invulnerability. Come, let's go to the corner and compare to see if I don't take it out and scare you to death. Chin Luo frantically complained in his heart, it is impossible for him to draw a gun in public. The muscular man seized the opportunity of Chin Luo and Momoshiki's absence, and attacked. A close sprint came to Chin Luo, and his right fist took the speed of his body to take Chin Luo's next 3 lanes. As the saying goes, shoot a man first, shoot a bird, and capture a thief first, capture the king. This is a muscular man with strategic thinking. Chin Luo suddenly appreciated this muscular man. Isn't it a pity to let him die like this? However, the duplicitous Chin Luo just wanted to do one thing. The claw of his right hand appeared on the heart of the muscular man's chest. As long as Chin Luo thought about it, after opening the blood wheel eye to the extreme, the dynamic visual effect would turn the world in front of him into a slow-moving world. The muscular man's fist is no different from that of ordinary people. Chin Luo, who has no physical restrictions, easily stopped his hand on the muscular man's chest, as if he hit it himself. The muscular man's face still had a grim smile that was about to succeed. 2 hot eyes, this kind of smile Chin Luo can't protect, can only leave it to the god of death. However, the arrival of a knife forced Chin Luo to withdraw his hand. Kanpira, who was hidden in the back skirt of her evening dress by Momoshiki, was already unsheathed and slashed on the right hand of the muscular man, making a metal collision sound. I haven't done it for a long time, leave this to me. Momoshiki's voice sounded in Chin Luo's ears. Since Momoshiki wanted to practice his hand, Chin Luo had no reason to refuse her. Muscular man didn't know it, because Momoshiki's spoiler, his life was stunned. Muscular man and Momoshiki fought together, and Chin Luo had more time to observe the cement demon up close. The cement demon is very special. This is the first time Chin Luo has seen such a devil fruit person. Since he was on the 2nd floor, Chin Luo has been watching the cement demon with his white eyes. Bayan has the ability to see acupuncture points and energy. People in the pirate world do not have acupoints, so in Bayan's eyes, people with various fruit abilities are groups of stable human-shaped light groups of different colors, similar to a color thermal imager. But the cement demon is different. It is a fiery and very unstable fireball. Both himself and the ability he unleashes are very violent. People all over the world define devil fruit powers as demons with the C in their bodies. If 220 said that the normal fruit power user tamed this demon and used it, the person in front of him seemed to be tamed by the devil, but instead became the power user to serve the devil. The devil fruit ability on the cement demon is running wild. Whether it is tyrannical and weird behavior or that terrible petrification ability, it should be generated because of the fruit ability running wild. Maybe it was because Chin Luo had been staring at him. The cement demon snorted softly, and the liquid cement rolled up from under his feet and rushed towards Chin Luo. And he himself flashed in place and disappeared without a trace. The next second, he appeared at the front of the influx of liquid cement, which boiled and suddenly condensed into the appearance of a cement demon. The cement demon that reappeared did not hesitate to take advantage of Qin Luo's presence, and tightly grasped Qin Luo's two arms with both hands. He wanted to imprison Qin Luo and not give Qin Luo a chance to escape. More liquid cement poured out of the cement demon, looking like he was going to swallow Qin Luo in one bite. The ability to petrify begins at the moment of contact. Clothes first, and then Qin Luo felt the skin on his arms becoming stiff. What a terrible assimilation ability, especially after experiencing it personally. Qin Luo can feel the aggressiveness of this energy. Chapter 591 Mutant Fruit. The clothes petrified the fastest, and it spread to the elbows if you were not careful. It is estimated that he felt the resistance from Qin Luo. The cement demon increased the output of petrochemical ability, and the liquid paste cement continued to overflow from him, trying to cover Qin Luo's body. Since the speed of petrification is not ideal, then simply pour Qin Luo into a statue with cement. That's a good idea, the cement devil thought. Glancing at the cement demon, Qin Luo didn't even bother to say the word naive. Trapping other talents with cement should be the normal ability of this devil fruit, but compared to the plague-like infection speed of petrochemical, this ability is quite ordinary. In the use of fruit ability, the cement devil is not much better than those who have just acquired the devil fruit ability. The ability to have such strength is entirely dependent on the bizarre petrification ability. Qin Luo can't honestly let the cement demon do whatever he wants. The feeling of being caught by cement is not good at all. It's like being covered with slippery mucus. Thinking about it makes me feel sick. With a trembling of his hands, a strong force was released. Relying on the huge force of the flesh, Qin Luo easily shattered the cement demon, grabbing his arms. That force continued to destroy along the cement demon's liquid hands, destroying his arms at the root. But because it is just pure energy, without hockey attached, the damage to the cement demon is limited. In the gloomy laughter, the cement demon reunited his body that had been shattered. The devil fruit person, Qin Luo has long been aware of this, and the Kazaru of glint fruit can recover the moment it is crushed. Taking advantage of the time when the cement demon recovered, Qin Luo called out his white eyes to study the place where the cement demon had just been grabbed. The two gray-brown handprints pressed directly on Qin Luo's arms. Under the glance of the white eye, the two gray-brown handprints retain the same gray energy as the cement demon, and they are very active. This activity is very different from other devil fruits. How should I put it? Whether it is Whitebeard, Ant, or Akainu, after their abilities are released, they will become a stable state, the product of their fruit abilities. However, petrochemical energy is like a part of the cement fruit, and it exists independently of the body. Without the need for cement demon control, the energy will spontaneously invade the attached object like a virus until the energy is exhausted. When Qin Luo first saw the petrification ability of the cement demon, he immediately thought of Death Country, a mass-killing weapon made by mad scientist M. Caesar Current, both of which can make people petrify. But Qin Luo soon discovered their difference. People who are attacked by the kingdom of death will have a salt-white shell on the surface of the body, but the body of the person inside has not changed. And people who are petrified by the cement demon directly convert parts of their bodies into cement, and this process is irreversible. Just like at this moment, the two handprints on Qin Luo's arm are the result of this force converting the erosion of that piece of skin into cement. If it wasn't for Qin Luo's extremely strong body, which prevented the invasion of that kind of power, Qin Luo and the others would also end up being half-dead and half-alive living sculptures. Neither the awakening of the devil fruit nor the use of technology in artificial devil fruit. The cement demon gave Qin Luo the same feeling that he had guessed at the beginning. This was a complete runaway of the devil fruit. Since the fruit of life that Gorosei, 5 elders have successfully mutated exists in the world, it is not incomprehensible that there are devil fruits that fail to mutate and devil fruits with runaway abilities. Qin Luo decided to do a small experiment, and the power of devouring poured out. The energy on the two taupe handprints was stripped away bit by bit and swallowed up. A phantom that only Qin Luo could see appeared in front of him, a devil fruit that was gradually drawing its shape. The process of forming the devil fruit came to an abrupt end after only the beginning, and the icy system prompt sounded unprecedentedly. Warning, warning, unknown error found, low target energy, extraction job could not be completed. Warning, warning. Ignoring the annoying warning sound, Qinluo withdrew the power of devouring, and the phantom of the stuck devil fruit also drifted away. The experiment just now has been very telling. Qinluo's conjecture is likely to be correct. The petrification ability separated by the cement demon is completely a brand new devil fruit, but it is not complete in terms of energy and form. Cancer cells no, this thing is the same as the cancer cells on devil fruits. Qinluo couldn't figure out the specific reasons and circumstances, but Qinluo knew that there was one person who could figure out the secret inside. Qinluo couldn't help thinking of the 3 snake uncles he had summoned, who happened to be very interested in the devil fruits unique to the pirate world recently. The cement demon will definitely be the best experiment in their hands. And in this way, they won't always miss the devil fruit in Qinluo's hands. Qinluo blinked, a faint smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, and the idea of capturing the cement demon alive came into being. It's a pity that some guy who is about to be in a disaster is not aware of the imminent danger. The cement demon not only reassembled his body, but more liquid cement poured out of him into a vortex. His stature was pulled to the eldest, giving the immediate sense of a gray tornado. Qinluo is not easy to deal with, it can be seen from just now. The cement demon turned his body into various tiny fragments and hid it in the entire cement tornado, which maximized his petrification ability. Now any object wrapped in this gray tornado will instantly become a sculpture and then be churned into powder. It was probably the weirdest tornado in history. The cement demon twisted his body. At this time, the tornado tilted its head and slammed into Qinluo's direction. Wherever the tornado passed, corpses and debris were turned to stone. You could have been a work that satisfied me, but now I have to give up on you. The other party is really confident. Qinluo despised Isho, and he didn't see any movement from him. With a loud bang, the cement demon stopped in front of Qinluo. A transparent shield separates him and Qinluo. It must be very painful. Just listening to the sound, the people next to him feel a dull pain in the scalp. Your head is very iron, boy. Qinluo leaned his head forward and looked at the cement demon on the other side of the repulsion shield with interest. Just like the face of someone who couldn't slow down and hit the wall, the liquid face of the cement demon was smeared everywhere on the repulsion shield, and the original appearance could not be seen at all. Chapter 592 Arrest 2 people. Due to the speed, the lower half of the cement demon's body continued to hit the repulsion shield. A big cake face spread on the invisible wall was directly divided into half under the impact of the cement behind. Aside from the odd petrification ability, the cement demon has nothing else to offer. For Qinluo, it was even easier to deal with him than the general alternate admiral. Capturing alive is a technical task. If the cement demon had been running away, Qinluo would have really spent a lot of effort. But now, the other party has delivered it to the door by himself, just waiting for Qinluo to pack it away. While sighing at the other party's kindness, he kept doing things on his hands. Before the cement demon could react, the cubic cage composed of 6 invisible repulsion shields had trapped him inside. It was too late when the cement demon found out that something was wrong. He couldn't care less about his mushy body, manipulating the liquid cement to continuously beat the transparent walls around him. Weak burst, and after there was not enough room for the cement demon to toss, his attack could not even make a sound. The cement demon is performing a mime in an invisible cage alone. No matter how you stir up the cement in the invisible cage, Vice Admiral, you can't hear any sound outside, and the cage is even more motionless. The cage began to shrink, and the cement demon inside was squeezed together with the body agent, which could make the space for 860 to struggle slowly disappear. When the cube cage shrunk to only half the height of a human, the cement demon didn't dare to change back into human form. Change can't go back, unless Qinluo is willing. the cement demon can't change back in this life. Can only maintain the appearance of liquid cement and barely survive. The cement demon has tried to use the constructed cement wall to resist the extrusion from all directions. It's a pity that no matter how hard the cement wall is, in the face of 10 million times the repulsion force, he is still a younger brother. After discovering that the cement walls not only didn't work, but only further compressed his living space, the cement demon quickly removed them. The cage is still shrinking and is beginning to transform into a spherical shape. About the size of 2 basketballs, the cage reached its limit. If the integrity of the cement demon is not considered, Qinluo can continue to compress the cage to the size of a marble. However, Qinluo resisted the urge to continue to compress when he thought of the appearance of missing arms and legs when he handed the cement demon to Orochimaru. Qinluo, conquering the cement demon, was seen by everyone at the banquet. A sense of absurdity spread among them. That monster was so easily controlled. It's Qinluo. The man in CP's suit exclaimed in his heart and recognized Qinluo's identity. Qinluo, who disappeared for a while, actually appeared here. What does he want? This information is very important, and we must find a way to notify the headquarters. All kinds of thoughts flashed through the man in the suit, but on the surface he didn't dare to make any rash moves, and even his demeanor was a lot more respectful. The most stressful are the old women and muscular men. In less than half a minute, they dealt with the cement demon monster like kneading dough. This can only show one thing, that is, the other party is also a monster, a more terrifying monster. Only monsters can deal with monsters, which is basically a consensus. Especially thinking that he just made a provocative statement, the muscular man became even more restless. For a time, the muscular man showed several flaws one after another, and Momoshiki cut out several bone-deep sword wounds. Submission or death. This time, no one dared to despise Qinluo's lazy words and the lines of the second middle school. The 4 representatives who had ignored these words before had already spoken up. One was caught, the other was busy dodging the slash, and the other 2 also looked dignified. Unsurprisingly, the final winner of this riot was the old ghost Derek, who was not optimistic about anyone, and he didn't know where he got the foreign aid, so it was so terrifying. Seeing that Qinluo easily controlled the situation, Derek and his son showed a happy expression on their faces, and they had pressed each other from the beginning. This joy didn't last long. Old Derek's heart suddenly rose to his throat. A sense of crisis appeared in his heart, and he subconsciously pulled his son down. The consciousness is enough, but the body can't keep up. Facing the attack of the comber, the speed of the Drake and his son is simply not enough. With a bang, the afterimage of the old woman disappeared in place. Compared with Momoshiki, who can drive the muscular man around, it is obviously better for the Drake and his son to start. The matter of surrender, the old woman did not consider it at all. After bloody killing for a lifetime, if you want to make her bow her head, first ask her about the claw in her hand. Moreover, the old woman's self-defeating speed is unmatched in South Blue, and even if the attack on Drake and his son fails, he can immediately escape. The sharp blade of the claw in his hand has already touched the necks of the Drake father and son. This feeling is too wonderful, and the next second is the dismemberment part that she likes to hear. The swirling stumps and broken arms, and Qinluo's annoyed but helpless expression. I can't deal with you, but I can kill the people around you. The old woman was not stingy with her killing intent, and when the person was still attacking, she turned her head to look in the direction of Qinluo like a provocation. But when the old woman turned her head, she was obviously taken aback. Is it because her eyes are dim, whereas Qinluo's figure in the original place, and the other party has disappeared in an instant? And the feeling on the hand is wrong. It is not the feeling of breaking the body with the claws, but it is like being chopped on a stone. Qinluo and Momoshiki said that he will kill all disgusting guys, and the murderous old woman is also in the ranks of being killed. If the cement demon is still worth researching, then the value of the old woman is only her head. The old woman's killing intent was so unscrupulous, so when she took aim at the Derek father and son, Qinluo knew her plan. The moment the old woman moved, Chin Luo also moved. Chin Luo moved the derrick father and son back, and the old woman's two claws finally slashed on Chin Luo's palm, without even breaking the skin, and then took advantage of the situation to be held in Chin Luo's hand. The old woman's heart was shocked, and her only thought now was to run. The weapon seized by Chin Luo was simply not needed. The old woman pressed the mechanism, removed the claws fixed on her arm, and rushed out the door. But is it too late to run now? Crack! There was a loud noise, and the old woman fell to the ground softly. When Chin Luo was not prepared, he had already placed a repulsion shield around him when he teleported over. No matter which direction the old woman runs in, she will bump into the invisible wall. The faster you go, the harder you hit. The old woman only felt that all the bones in her body were out of place. Chapter 593 To warn the monkeys, kill the chickens. Lifting the old woman who was slumped on the ground, Chin Luo's hand caught the old woman's throat, and Vivi exerted his strength. Chin Luo is not in a hurry to exert force, just little by little, let the old woman feel the fear of death. The old woman did not faint, on the contrary, because of the pain in her whole body that made her very awake, the long-lost death was approaching her. This feeling is too familiar, but she used to impose it on others. The old woman didn't struggle much. Because of the dislocation of the bones in her whole body, if she moved a little more, it would cause more pain. Not all pain can be tolerated, otherwise why do people grade pain? While struggling with groaning and groaning, Chin Luo snapped the old woman's neck with a click. It's still cheap for her to die in this way. You're really tired of living without killing Chin Luo. Chin Luo snorted, and like throwing garbage, the old woman's body slipped from his hands. During this time, Momosugi also captured the heads of muscular men who were not in state. So far, the three helpers on the radical side have all solved it. Without the thorns, there will be no one who dares to resist directly. There anyone else present who can solve Chin Luo and Momosugi, the man in the suit who never spoke or the swordsman who never appeared again? Thinking about it, it's not reliable. No matter how unconvinced, the remaining radicals and moderates have to begin to accept this outcome. At this time, these people suddenly miss the terrifying shelling just now. Why didn't they kill the Drake father and son and Chin Luo? They didn't know that the shelling outside did not stop, until the more than 10 rounds of ammunition were all emptied, and the roar of the artillery stopped. And in the sky above Derek's mansion, at this time, it was completely a dark cloud piled up with cannonballs. If these shells explode at the same time, let alone a mansion, even 100 buildings will blow you to pieces. Those who operated the artillery apparently also discovered the strange situation of the cannonball being stagnated in the air, but all they could do was keep firing and pray that this situation would end soon. As for sending someone to investigate, the commander of the artillery sneered, "Okay, let your people go, the people below will not accompany you." Chin Luo was very unhappy. Although everyone in the banquet hall was pleasing to the eye, none of them surrendered to him. "Ghost, it's me, Chin Luo, who can't lift the knife, or are you floating? You don't have to poke your ass with a knife and you're going to play dead, right? Killing chickens to warn monkeys has always been the best way to do this." After picking and picking, he found the most unpleasant member of the radical faction. During a burst of wailing and howling, Chin Luo used gravity to drag him in front of him. Chin Luo said gently with a shallow smile, "You heard my words." The man who was dragged over nodded hurriedly. "Then why didn't you answer me? Have you made your choice? The other party didn't think about these two questions. He secretly looked in the direction of Rhodes, obviously wanting Rhodes to give him an idea. Why can't he decide for himself, whether the dragged person is out of luck or does not want to take the blame? Chin Luo doesn't know, and he doesn't want to know. Hesitate, pay attention. Before he finished speaking, the gravitational force and the repulsive force worked on the neck of the dragged radical member, and the other party's neck twisted at a strange angle, apparently unable to survive. Paying attention to the word has become a reminder for everyone present. Chin Luo didn't think he favored one over the other. Before the aftershocks of the crowd had subsided, a selected moderate member had already flown out of the crowd and fell in front of Chin Luo. Without waiting for Chin Luo to speak, the person selected this time quickly shouted after falling to the ground. I was just about to answer you, I made a choice. Well, is the desire to survive very strong? Smart people, pay attention. The next moment, another corpse fell to the ground. The cause of death was the same as that of the previous man, and the neck was strangely twisted. Chin Luo, who killed one more person, ignored the corpses on the ground as if nothing happened, and continued to look up at the crowd. This time he picked someone who used to be with old Derek. The most important thing for a family is to be neat and tidy. There are 2 faction members lying here. As the former 3rd faction member, why should I send a representative out? It's not that Chin Luo looked down on old Derek, and none of the people in their previous factions were mentally determined people. After the 3rd person was selected by Chin Luo, he cried and cried non-stop from the moment he flew out. Chin Luo was so annoyed that he didn't want to waste time, and planned to solve him immediately. Forget it, let's go through the process. Did you hear what I said? The man who had been crying all the time felt that his life was in danger, and even his thoughts were confused in the grief. This man did not answer Chin Luo's question, but begged for mercy with a crying voice. Don't kill me, I surrender, I'd like to be the dog of adults. Don't kill me. He was chattering, and he didn't know what he was talking about. The more he cried, the more unclear he was, the more anxious the person became. It was a vicious circle. Not only the man himself, but everyone thinks that this shit is not far from death. Chin Luo raised his right hand and gently placed it on the man's head. Is it necessary to do it by himself? What a painful way to die, even the man himself couldn't help thinking. The moment Chin Luo put his hand on his head, that person's heart was about to pop out of his chest. A dog that can only cry, forget it, I'll accept it reluctantly, go and stand on the side. Yes. Although he couldn't believe it, the man stopped crying, a kind of joy of escaping death filled his heart. He moved to the direction Chin Luo said, and stood there obediently. What a suffocating operation. When everyone thought that the crying soft egg was going to die, the other party just lived. But they also figured out what Chin Luo wanted. Statements, surrender, and everything else is false. Chin Luo wasn't a murderous madman either. The first 2 were the chickens who set an example when they couldn't answer for a long time. There were not many idiots present, and they also understood that Chin Luo's patience was gradually running out. You expect Chin Luo to point someone over and ask them if they want to surrender. Don't talk about Chin Luo, they all decided too much themselves. Maybe at that time Chin Luo would just start killing. There is only one question, whether there are any friends who surrender together. Wait online, it is very urgent. The radicals turned more attention to Rhodes, obviously to let him make up his mind. Chapter 594 It's nice to surrender. Look, what to look at. If you want to surrender, just vote yourself. Do you want me to make up my mind? These stupid pigs, everything depends on his decision, and he never asked me when he gave birth to a son and married a daughter-in-law. In front of Chin Luo, being watched by so many people, Rhodes said that he was Alexander. At this time, the less conspicuous the better. Now the focus on the field will only increase the probability of being dragged away by Chin Luo. And Rhodes' heart is arrogant. In South Hill Rough, the family that Rhodes belongs to is the one with the longest history besides the Guardian family and the family behind the old man Edwina, and even the Drake family has to go back a little bit. Even if I, Rhodes, die, break my neck, and be dragged out like a dead dog by that man, I will not bow my head casually like a man. This is the pride of a century-old family. Which is Rhodes. Rhodes fell into his inner self-satisfaction and couldn't extricate himself. At this time, a voice sounded and rescued him. Does Chin Luo know who Rhodes is? Rhodes groaned in his heart, and took a breath. Chin Luo was going to use him. There is no hesitation, it should be more decisive at this time. Stepping out from the crowd, Rhodes said, "The Rhodes family is willing to surrender and will follow the leader's lead." "Ah, okay, then you go and stand by the side first." Chin Luo scratched his head, but he didn't expect it to be so easy. He thought the other party was a tough one. However, this Rhodes is also a slicker, and there is something hidden in the words of surrender. From the very beginning, Rhodes said that he surrendered to Chin Luo, and he followed Chin Luo's lead. As for the Drake family, I'm sorry, what kind of stinky fish and shrimp is this? The Rhodes family has never surrendered to the Drake family. As long as Chin Luo left South Hill Rough, the Rhodes family would release themselves again. In fact, Chin Luo really won't take Rhodes' life easily. The lives of the radicals and some people have been reserved by some people in the Guardian family as a condition for Olivia to borrow books. Of course these Rhodes do not know. The three corpses in front of Chin Luo across the country came to Chin Luo's right hand. Since the start of the war, he has never been so relaxed. Surrender is good. The radicals were surprised and secretly relieved. With Rhodes taking the lead, the radicals quickly surrendered, as did the moderates. Everyone was afraid that the last few surrenders would receive a surprise from Chin Luo. Surrender is not just a matter of words. The Drake family guards who disappeared before filed out from the corner and temporarily imprisoned those who surrendered. Now that you have surrendered, show your sincerity, and before that, please think about life in the dungeon now. The power and military power in the hands of these people is definitely to be recovered. In terms of wealth, Chin Luo is not lacking, but leaving too much wealth to the opponent will only make them continue to recruit troops, so this is also necessary. As for power and seats in the parliament, Chin Luo disdains issue. After tonight, the South Hill Rough Chamber of Commerce will exist in name only. If they want the status of members, Chin Luo doesn't mind that they keep it until the tomb leaves. Anyway, they are already rubbish swept into history. As for the outside of the villa area, the troops under the Drake family who had never appeared and the mercenaries hired early completed the encirclement of the moderate artillery troops. Chin Luo also got a joint letter from several current leaders of the moderate faction, and took down this unit without bloodshed. Until most of the people were taken away, the man in the suit who had been respectfully and silently walked towards Chin Luo. He was the only person in the field who recognized Chin Luo. CP of the world government, otherwise even if Chin Luo didn't wear makeup at this time, he wouldn't necessarily recognize him. Lord Chin Luo, the man in the suit asked tentatively. The people of the world government. Without answering, Chin Luo glanced at the man in the suit and asked back. Yes. There was an awkward silence in the air, and the man in the suit didn't know what to say. Accusing the other party of meddling in South Hill Rough's affairs. Wake up, let alone the strength of the other party. If you offend Chin Luo, even if you return to the world government alive, there is no good fruit to eat. Especially after losing to Lu Yun again, the Gorosei 5 elders value Chin Luo as an ally, far more than a South Blue Island. Taking the initiative to hand over the information about the moderates in your hands to the other party is too unscrupulous, and wouldn't your mission fail on your own accord? When the man in the suit was distressed, Chin Luo became interested in him, specifically the petrochemical wound on the waist of the man in the suit. Is this petrification really irreversible? Maybe try it with devouring power. After thinking about it, Chin Luo started to operate. The invisible repulsive force lifted the man in the suit up in front of Chin Luo. Chin Luo lightly pressed his hand on the petrified wound and turned with a slight force of devouring, starting to tug of war to entangle the petrified energy in the wound. The results were mixed. Those parts that have not been petrified much have been transformed into flesh and blood after the energy of petrification is withdrawn, but the part that was first petrified has completed the transformation from flesh to cement in material form. Even Chin Luo's devouring power couldn't take away a trace of petrochemical energy. In the end, Chin Luo simply smashed the petrified parts and used the vitality in the red orb to heal the wound on the waist of the man in the suit. It's amazing that it didn't even have any side effects at all. Chin Luo actually had such a means of healing in his hands, and the man in the suit felt that he had to report this matter to the world government. At the same time, the man in the suit pointed to the dead old man Edwin and asked, "I don't know. It can't be saved. It's dead. Farewell." Ah, the man in the suit was choked by Chin Luo in such a strange way, and he only said 2 words. But the man in the suit soon stopped bothering about these 5.8, because Chin Luo asked him questions. "Why did the world government send you to South Hill Rough? I want to hear the truth." There was no movement from Chin Luo, the blood on the ground flew up automatically, and a blood-colored rattan chair was formed behind Chin Luo for Chin Luo to sit down. Chin Luo quietly let the man in suit clearly understand the current situation. He did not hide the purpose of the world government and the 2 conditions with the Edwin family. "So, we don't know that we will collide with Lord Chin Luo's plan. The man in the suit is retreating, because it is unwise for a Nan Shiraf to have a bad relationship with Chin Luo." "Wait, since old man Edwin is dead, why don't you guys change your cooperation target?" Chin Luo said, looking at old Derek in the distance. Chapter 595 Cooperation Intention. Following Chin Luo's eyes, the man in the suit, a member of CP, saw the old Derek who was busy commanding the side. Because of the war, the first floor was full of wrecks, and old Derek would curse once or twice from time to time. "Just like this, you still want to cooperate with them and the world government?" Old Derek, the man in the suit, quickly recalled the information about this person in his mind. South Hill Rough's biggest slick and wall grass, without any integrity and responsibility. In addition to thick skin, a keen sense of smell and all kinds of amazing cowardice methods, there are basically no other advantages. Such a person will live for a long time, but do you want him to be a partner? It seems that the ability and character of the other party are not suitable. In the cooperation sequence of South Hill Rough, the old Derek was not in the top 5 at all. By the way, this is the order of the top 5. Edwin is the first, Rhodes is the second, the third and fourth are their deputy, and the 5th is the mysterious family that disappeared. That is to say, the people of CP think that it is better to spend time trying to find out the mysterious family that disappeared than to be with the Drake family. This is no longer a simple disdain for 19. But there is no other person in his eyes. But after all, he was the one chosen by Chin Luo, and even if he was disdainful, he couldn't show it. The man in the suit didn't want to provoke Chin Luo's anger at all. The man in the suit realized that he had just made a slip of the tongue, and he changed his words. "I also know about the ability of old Derek. As the Lord said, he is indeed a good choice." Having said this, the man in the suit paused for a while, and continued pretending to be embarrassed. "I don't care about this aspect, choosing Edwin's family as the above meaning, it's okay to change to a better one, but you must go through the above." "Agree." A skillful, decision, the man in the suit buckled the pot directly to the high level far away. "Hey, it's not that I don't want to, it's really that the concubine can't do it. I also think that your choice is correct, but even if you say so, there is no way for me to change the partner without authorization." How could Chin Luo, who is in the heart of a man in a suit, get some little juju? Are you the only one who sees that this old Derek can't make a big deal out of it? But what Chin Luo wants is a dog who is loyal and aware of current affairs on the bright side. Even, the poorer the ability and the less courageous, the better the control. How old Derek fits these requirements perfectly. Okay. Put away your acting skills. The Drake family is just the spokesperson I found, and then I will send someone to secretly take over South Hill Rough. And I am still allies with the world government and Marine. I don't mind the world government and Marine. People settled on this island. Quote. A soundproof vacuum barrier was placed beside him, so Chin Luo didn't worry about being heard. Then Chin Luo pointed to the corpse of the old man Edwin and said, "What is there to cherish for a dead partner? Or when did the world government and Marine start to change jobs as babysitters?" The heart of the man in the suit was very shocking. Although Chin Luo was strong in the past, his whereabouts were erratic, and he didn't see any power in him. However, Yun, who came out of the same place as him, occupied Fishman Island as his own territory. Could it be that this master is not willing to be surpassed by that person, and plans to form his own power? For a while, all kinds of thoughts floated in the mind of the man in the suit. He is a special agent, and he is best at collecting and analyzing intelligence, and then he is the combat power needed to perform tasks. First of all, the addition of Qin Luo will make the competition in this eventful sea area more intense. A cloud is enough trouble. When Qin Luo becomes active, the man in a suit has a hunch that he will work overtime day and night in the future. But Qin Luo and the world government, Marine, have a common enemy, at least for now. Qin Luo does not exclude Marine and the world government. This is a signal. Does it mean that there will be more cooperation between Qin Luo and the world government and Marine in the future? I have to get in touch right away. Although the statement is still the same, the attitude of the man in the suit has changed, and the reasons for contacting the superior have also changed. Qin Luo nodded and said yes, and he was confident enough that Marine and the world government would agree to his request, and the reply would come in a very big way. The predicament of Marine and the world government was caused by him, and Qin Luo knew exactly what they needed now. Before the people from the world government came, Qin Luo had to speed up and finish some of the finishing work on South Hill RAF. Okay, let me go. Where are you taking me? Since the battle last night made the wedding dress for the Drake family, Rhodes was brought to this place overnight without even having time to rest. What made Rhodes ironic was that his head was still covered with a black cloth bag, so he couldn't see the way he came and the surroundings at all. This is how similar the treatment is when outsiders come to him, except that the process of being knocked out is missing. He only heard the sound of the cage opening and closing, and when Rhodes was taken off the black cloth bag on his head, he saw a lot of acquaintances. Sir Rhodes. You guys. Why are you here? Rhodes and those people asked in unison. This is an underground 300 prison cell in an unknown villa. In addition to Derek, who just came in, there are many members of the radical faction in the cell. Old Drake took everyone apart by splitting the prison, only to be brought back together in this dramatic fashion. Rhodes saw that all the important core members on his side were here, not a few. An ominous premonition emerged from Rhodes' heart. As if to confirm Rhodes' strong premonition, the door of the prison was opened, and no fewer than 4 people came in listening to the sound. Qin Luo, Momosugi, the red-haired Shanks, the store manager, the second elder of the Guardian family, and the ghost lamp Shuiyu came in sequence. The Guardian family. The clothes on the second elder are too special, and you can recognize his identity just by looking at it, and whoever is locked in the cage will not recognize this kind of clothes. So, when the second elder came in, they all exclaimed. The violent heartbeat and gasping sounds were obvious in the silent prison. Looking at the way Qin Luo and the Guardian family met, it was obvious that they did not invite each other to watch the ceremony. Revenge, only revenge is the only explanation. These people didn't dare to look into the eyes of the second elder. The flame of hatred inside was very hot. Annoyed, frustrated, scared, all kinds of emotions, but the last thing they can think of is that the revenge from the Guardian family will be so fast. Chapter 596 Enemies Meet with Special Jealousy. Seeing the desperate expressions of the radicals locked up in the prison, the second elder nodded with satisfaction. There are times when these beasts are afraid. Not all of the more than 150 Guardian family members who were captured survived, and when they came to rescue, several more family members left this world forever. When Shanks and others found these corpses, the body bag containing the corpses was marked with the label, waste. When did the members of the Guardian family be regarded as experimental consumables by others? The other clansmen were not feeling well either, and were tortured and interrogated all the time. Very well, you all know who I am, and I have a lot of crap left. The second elder became gloomy, looked at the people in the cage, and said coldly. It's time for you to pay the price. It was a voice that deliberately suppressed anger, and it was obvious that the trembling in the words could be felt. The second elder walked towards the prison little by little, and the murderous pressure on his body made the people in the prison breathless. "No, you can't touch me. Get around me, please." The people in the prison fell to the ground and moved to the corner while pleading, creating an illusion called living. In the end, was the second elder unable to lift the knife, or did these people float away? In this case, they still wanted to use threats or beg for mercy to escape. The second elder can't wait to use a 40-meter-long knife to make these people into strings. "No, you can't touch me. Don't you want the rest of your clan? As long as I don't go back for a day, your clan will be buried with me." Rhodes roared hoarsely. The ships left behind, hidden strongholds and more than 100 hostages in his hands became Rhodes' last resort. Others in the prison heard what Rhodes said, and they quickly agreed when they saw a life-saving straw. But there are always people who are going to die, and the number of people alive is very rare. Chin Luo stood up in a timely manner and said with fuel to the fire. "It's not a big deal to watch the fun. Chin Luo's words mean that so many of you know the location of the hostages, but we can only let 1 or 2 people go. It's so frustrating. Who should I give such an opportunity to?" They knew that Chin Luo was trying to sow discord, but because of the invisible chance to live, these people were all red-eyed. I know. Choose me, I didn't approve of hands-on from the beginning. Don't force me, the big deal is that we all die together." There are all kinds of words, but at this time, he is also the only one who says he is innocent. A lot of the core members of the Rhodes faction were all caught here. Does this person have no B number in his heart? Chin Luo and the others watched with interest as the detained people fought for the chance of life that didn't exist, and even turned from a shivering little beast to a biting rabbit and performed a full martial arts. Momosuke forcibly held back his laughter. Chin Luo was too bad. He made some hints to cause a fight within them, but in fact he didn't promise anything at all. Did Chin Luo say that whoever revealed the location of the hostages would spare his life? Apparently not. "Go away, you bastards, you still want to fight with me. Besides me, none of you know the route to the secret stronghold. Say it, you can't speak." In the end, Rhodes stunned the people in the prison with a victorious attitude. Indeed, as Rhodes said, in addition to the stronghold of the shallow reef, the roots of other secret strongholds have always been kept in Rhodes' hands, and even when they were going, they were stunned and taken away. Rhodes is now very grateful that he has done a good job of keeping secrets, and he was careful when he went to the banquet of the Drake family, and let his men take the hostages and transfer them to the secret stronghold. Now it seems that with these hostages, Rhodes can not only escape, but even restore his power. Feeling that it was profitable, Rhodes thought and planned again, how can he maximize his own interests? As for these former faction members, Rhodes' eyes froze, remembering that these people wanted to fight with him just now. Don't decide to let these people die here. But teasing this kind of thing is only interesting if it's full of drama. When Rhodes and the others were almost arguing, Chin Luo signaled that the ghost lights and water moon were almost all right. Ghost lamp Shuiyu understood it, took out a bunch of things from behind and threw it on the ground. The crisp sound of things falling to the ground attracted everyone's attention, and it was not until then that everyone saw what was thrown out by the ghost lamp Shuiyu. This is a collection of a series of brands. The brands are made of iron and are similar in style. The moment he saw this series of signs, Rhodes' face turned dead gray in an instant. No, you're kidding me. This brand is very familiar to the radicals. This is the waist card used by Rhodes to indicate the status of his subordinates. The waist card also has the owner's code name. And this string of waist cards is owned by those who take care of the Guardian family members. The secret base has been found on the opposite side, and they are playing monkeys. Chin Luo nodded, showing an expression you only knew. The looks of the store manager and the second elder also looked a lot better, and it was a good thing to be able to see the ugly state of the enemy being played with. Speaking of which, the entire rescue operation went very smoothly. Rhodes took away most of the troops and advanced combat power when he left. Apart from the time spent finding a location, the second elder and the red hair did not encounter any decent resistance. And concealing this kind of thing is useless in front of the chakra mark of Ghost Lantern Shueyu. Ha ha ha. Seeing Rhodes being tricked, the others in the prison laughed. How dare you laugh at me? Why don't you dare? Everyone is going to die. You thought you were still the noble Lord, you laughed at me to death. With this person as the leader, other people in the prison have followed suit. Crazy, crazy, Chin Luo couldn't help saying in his heart when he saw the appearance of these people breaking jars. Chin Luo, Shanks, can I have a chance to be alone with these people? The second elder, who has always been jealous, asked after the drama came to an end. Alone, with these enemies. After thinking about Chin Luo a little, he knew what the second elder was going to do. Chin Luo took Momosugi and a few people out to avoid suspicion. The store manager struggled for a while, but did not stay in the end. Come on one. Shanks took out a cigarette and handed it to Chin Luo. Try this. Chin Luo shook his head and took out a cigar from his arms with his backhand. This was a high-end product from Old Derek. Behind them, a shrill scream came from the closed prison. Obviously the second elder was playing some interesting games with those people. Chapter 597 Road's Ending. The taste of cigars is much heavier than that of cigarettes, and even more so is the high-end goods that Chin Luo brought from Old Derek. It is simply a mudslide in the tobacco industry. But the refreshing feeling of smoking is discounted here in Chin Luo. Full-level physical body is not all active skills. Since its appearance, Chin Luo's physical quality has been greatly changed. Things like the increase in physical strength and resistance, like passive skills, have always affected Chin Luo. Not to mention 100 poisons, at least most of the drugs have less than half of their normal effects on Chin Luo. The stimulant nicotine in tobacco is also on the list. This cigar smokes like chewing wax. All the remaining cigars were given to a certain face king by Chin Luo, and while saying, "I am so embarrassed," they unceremoniously received them into his arms. With a bang, the second elder walked out of the prison in about a cigarette time. A trace of blood spattered on the robes unique to the Guardian family, and the red color was so conspicuous on the white clothes. Dead? Chin Luo asked. That attitude was as casual as asking if the stray dog next to the house was dead. The second elder sighed in relief, shook his head and continued. I want to take some people to 913 islands in all directions, and they must accept the first apology in front of the tribe. The only concern of the second elder is that Chin Luo still needs to use these people to control Nansharaf. If so, he wouldn't want Chin Luo to let him go. The Guardian family already owes Chin Luo a lot of favor, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that Chin Luo gave the lives of more than half of the Guardian family. I have no opinion. When are you going? Compared with the things that the second elder thought too much, Chin Luo wanted them to leave quickly, preferably before the people from the world government came. In this way, Chin Luo can save a lot of trouble. Once the Guardian family members are discovered by the world government, I am afraid that they will cause more moths. I'd like to go now if I can. The clansmen of the Guardian family who were rescued and the family members who were hiding in the lighthouse by the store manager have rushed to Safang Island with the large army. Because of the serious injuries of some of the tribesmen, those who did not dare to find a doctor on South Hill Rough Island were speeding the whole process, and it was estimated that they would be able to reach Safang Island by noon. The only two boats left by Nansharaf to meet Chin Luo were the second elder and Shanks. At this moment, the second elder was like an arrow to his heart. Following the order of the second elder, the clan of the second elder moved roads to the boat one by one. Chin Luo and Shanks were also fortunate enough to witness the tragic situation of this group of people. All of them had their hands and feet broken and slumped over their bodies in a terribly contorted way. Their faces are also difficult, and 1 out of every 3 faces the problem of loss of teeth in advance. However, none of these situations will affect their lives on Safang Island. So don't bully honest people casually. Haven't you heard of it? Shanks and the store manager also left with the second elder. The plans couldn't keep up with the changes, and what happened to the Guardian family suddenly changed their minds, and now they plan to take the mother of 2 children to Sefang Island. The store manager and the second elder return to Sefang Island in his boat. The fact that the store manager's family is a branch of the Guardian family is no longer a secret among the upper echelons of South Hill RAF with the actions of the radicals. A family with little power, whose biggest business is a flower shop and coffee shop, has a relationship with the most popular family in South Blue recently. If you continue to stay in South Hill RAF, I don't know how many uninvited guests will come to visit in one night. It just so happened that the store manager also had some accounts that he wanted to settle with Rhodes. Second elder, store manager, how are you thinking about the advice I gave you before? Before setting off the boat, Chin Luo said goodbye to the 2 of them. They will take advantage of the last gecko of this long night to leave South Hill RAF. And Chin Luo's proposal is also very simple, that is, to invite the 2 exposed families to relocate to Sky Island. Don't look at the fact that there is very little land on Sky Island. After the development of the Going City Sandora, there is a panic. It is true that the material is not as abundant here as the Blue Sea. I haven't thought about it yet, give me some time, this matter also needs the consent of the ancestors. Like the second elder, I haven't thought about it yet. You should come to Sefang Island after you've dealt with the matter on South Hill RAF. I'll give you the answer at that time, the store manager said with a frown. Go, of course, to Sefang Island. Olivia is still doing research there. Chin Luo can't lose her. Okay. Chin Luo smiled wryly. This was not going well. The difficulty of the proposal is still relatively high, and it is difficult to leave the homeland. The way, isn't Olivia in Sefang Island? Let her help lobby. She has a good relationship with the ancestor of the Guardian family and the store manager, which is a good breakthrough. But before that, Chin Luo must communicate with Olivia. My lord, with all due respect, these 2 families are a little bit ignorant. After the Guardian family's boat and the red-haired pirates departed one after another, Ghostlight Shuiyu quietly walked out from behind Chin Luo. There was also dissatisfaction with the 2 families in Gui Deng Shuiyu's tone. From Gui Deng Shuiyu's point of view, Chin Luo's decision cannot be violated. After Chin Luo helped the 2 families so much, they still doubted Chin Luo's intentions and rejected his proposal. Forget it, some things can't be forced. Let's take a look first. I'm just talking about it. Chin Luo didn't have such a big reaction as Guideng Shuiyu. From now on, Chin Luo's forces do not need to rely on absorbing the combat power of the Guardian family to strengthen themselves. Fishman Island, Shandian, the United Front Work Department and the Security Bureau will continue to train new warriors for the forces in the future. Use. As long as Olivia thoroughly researched the Guardian family's information, the Guardian family's significance to Chin Luo would be even lower. Chin Luo was really just providing them a shelter with good intentions this time. As expected of an adult, your mind is as broad as the sea. Your strength and your tolerance are all my role models. Gui Deng Shuiyu half knelt on the ground and kept barking with her dog-legged appearance. Chin Luo didn't even think that after Gui Deng Shuiyu was summoned, he looked like a loyal dog licking a dog. With his face, how could it be funny? I am afraid that the air suddenly becomes quiet. Let's go back first. Chin Luo, who was embarrassed by the licking, could only hold back such a sentence. Yes, my lord. Chapter 598 Sign a Treaty. Old Derek didn't rely on messing around in South Hill RAF in the past, and he still managed to some extent. In 2 days, under the big machine of the fully functioning Drake family, the old Drake finally mastered more than half of the rights and institutions of South Hill RAF. In the past 2 days, Chin Luo seemed to have disappeared and never appeared in front of others. Of course, it is only a superficial phenomenon, and Chin Luo's shadow can still be seen behind many things. For example, the remaining radicals who tried to fight back were found suddenly dead at home. And a swordsman who was rehired by the Edwin family to make trouble was knocked out and thrown into the toilet. The swordsman was stunned by a cannonball because of his death that day, and he didn't know that Qin Luo's existence was already there. The swordsman should be glad that he used the scabbard to smash the door of the office building of the Management Chamber of Commerce. As soon as the awakened swordsman left, he knew that there was a great god standing behind the Drake family, and even he could only be killed in seconds. How strong this must be, the swordsman did not dare to think about it, and left in a daze. The change in the management of the Chamber of Commerce was so great that the whole of South Hill Rough was talking about it non-stop. That day, the moderates even mobilized the artillery of the entire South Hill Rough. It was impossible to hide this kind of movement from everyone. Especially when Qin Luo pulled the stagnant artillery shells above the Derrick family's mansion to a height of several kilometers, the entire Nansharaf was awakened. There are 3 popular theories on the market. The version of the moderates is that the Drake family and the radicals betrayed the Chamber of Commerce, and when they invited the high-level officials of the Chamber of Commerce to their homes for a banquet, they wiped out everything. The radicals said that the moderates were dissatisfied with the changes in the parliament and fought violently, and even mobilized the artillery for the city's defense to bombard them. The Drake family is not idle either, and a version that is more realistic and slightly modified is constantly spreading in South Hill Rough under their promotion. The factional battle between the moderates and the radicals, and the Drake family, who have always been good guys and never stand in line, came out to clean up the mess caused by the 2 forces. Turn the tide and rescue Nansharaf, who is about to collapse and fall into the quagmire of war. Bah, this is the first time I've seen someone who can talk about picking up a bargain so fresh and refined. Many people know what kind of shit the Drake family is in South Hill Rough, and that's why they dare to say that if they are as thick-skinned as old Drake. But don't say that, compared to the other 2 that promote their own faction and have a strong sense of gunpowder, the people of South Hill Rough are more willing to believe this more real, but very shameless, statement released by the Drake family. There are many factors behind this phenomenon. In addition to the fact that the Drake family is the victor, it is also inseparable from the propaganda of the newspaper. When Rhodes was proud, he offended many people in the newspaper, and now the opportunity to get down on the ground has come, and he has spared no effort at all. The news of Rhodes hiring the cement demon and the other 2 murderers spread directly to the whole city. Don't take the people of South Hill Rough for fools, the most people in this city are businessmen. After a lot of news was exchanged, many people vaguely knew the truth of the whole thing, stripping away the kind that Qin Luo and others existed. What these businessmen pursue is wealth. No matter whether it is war or peace, the important thing is the benefits that can be brought to him. Compared with the strong Rhodes family, the traditionally conservative Edwin family, there seems to be no harm in changing to the muddy Drake family at the top of the Chamber of Commerce. The people in this city are really good at receiving, Qin Luo said sarcastically on his way to the port. The people on the street were chatting about what happened 2 days ago as fun, as if it had nothing to do with them. Please, the top management of the Chamber of Commerce has just changed a batch, wouldn't you be more shocked? Yeah, there's only the smell of copper left in this city. Walking beside Qin Luo, the man in CP's suit said softly. Since the end of the battle 2 days ago, the man in the suit has been sending back the news of Nansharaf and Qin Luo's proposal. After a day's discussion, the world government agreed to Qin Luo's request. A team of Marines and a team of CP members of the world government will arrive in South Hill Loft today to help Qin Luo to stabilize the situation in South Hill Loft. Ha ha, the world government and Marine's relationship is really ugly, can't wait to get a kick in South Hill Rough now. The world government also knew that his behavior was a little ugly, and the man in the suit told Qin Luo that the world government and Marine would compensate for it. As long as Qin Luo's request is not too hard, the world government and Marine will agree. Even Marine would give Qin Luo an official, pirate, status. The official, pirates, isn't this the prototype of Shichibukai? I didn't expect that from this time, Gorosei, 5 elders and the others were already brewing about Shichibukai. This feeling is good. Qin Luo is still worried about how his own security bureau is spread all over the world, and the world government and Marine themselves collided, so I can't blame me. Taking advantage of Marine's relationship with the world government makes it easier to open up around the world. 0. This is a cost-effective deal. For this reason, Chin-Luo has specially accompanied the men in suits to the port to pick up the 2 teams of guests, which is enough to save face. When Chin-Luo and his party came to the port, the ships of the world government and marine were about to enter the port of South Hill Rough. On one of the warships, Chin-Luo also saw acquaintances. How can the old man be you? You stole the fruit of Kazaru. You stole something like devil fruit ability for me, but I happen to be near South Blue to collect people. It's all fate. The one in marine who knew Chin-Luo the most was the old man Zephyr. When he first came to the world of pirates, this old man took good care of Chin-Luo. However, a lot of things happened, making the relationship between the two in a very awkward state. Chin-Luo seems to have arranged a package for Zephyr for things like cheating and abduction. Even so, every time Zephyr sees Chin-Luo, he is very enthusiastic. Promise me, don't be a licking dog, okay? The people who have been summoned recently are a bit strange. Even the ghost lights and water moon have become the type of dog licking. Chin-Luo said that he was embarrassed by being licked. Negotiation is just a form. On the way, the man in the suit has already told Chin-Luo all the conditions and requirements of Marine's side, which are the same as the contents of the contract handed over. After the signing, the document known as the Treaty of South Sharaf officially entered into force. World government and marine also quickly disappeared from the port. Their first step was to help Chin-Luo clear the remaining forces of the other 2 factions on the island. Chapter 599 The dust settles. The marine's approach caused quite a stir. Not all countries and cities are members of the world government. According to the World Conference held every 4 years, all the member countries need to attend. Only about 50 countries are participating in the world government. This also includes the nations of the 20 kings who make up the world government. You know, in the world of pirates, often 1 or 2 small islands can form a small country or organization. In a sense, the king of the pirate world is not that unusual. More countries and organizations and the world government are only superficial allies. I recognize your identity as the world government, and you should not interfere with my country at will, that's all. It was the same for South Hill Rough before. As a merchant city, the top management of the Chamber of Commerce did not accept Marine's protection. What did Marine do in South Hill Rough? Marine, who acts as a world policeman in the world of pirates, has a very delicate identity, especially at this moment when the situation in South Hill Rough is very sensitive. Bringing marine and world government officials to the villa under the name of the Drake family, although not as luxurious as the family's mansion, as a temporary residence for marine and world government officials is not a problem. Are you really going to be king? He sat down. Zephyr asked Chin-Luo a question that made Chin-Luo laugh and laugh. How did he end up becoming Chin-Luo to be king? Yeah, do you think there is a problem? This time it was Zephyr's turn to be speechless. If Chin-Luo insisted on becoming a king, Marine couldn't do anything about it. This question was superfluous. There is nothing wrong with being a king, but if you want the world government to recognize Chin-Luo's identity, it will be a bit difficult. Chin-Luo was a member of Marine's bounty before, but now he has to admit his identity as a king. This is exactly like slapping himself in the face, it hurts. I'm joking, whoever likes to be the king should be the king. Chin-Luo said with a smile, patting Zephyr's shoulder, which was a little stiff. Zephyr and the world government officials in the room breathed a sigh of relief. South Hill Love will continue to retain the Management Chamber of Commerce. Old Drake will be the representative of the South Hill Love Chamber of Commerce, and South Hill Love will also become a member of the world government in the form of a business kingdom. Saying that, Chin-Luo pointed to the old Derek, who introduced him to Marine and the people of the world government. It's not what it says in the plan, an official said. Oh, can't South Hill Rough be a member of the world government without a king? Chin-Luo's rhetorical question made the official unable to answer. The regulations did not say that a country without a king could not become a member of the world government, but there was no precedent for a king without a king. If the Edwin family is naturally willing to become the king of this South Hill Raff, but the Drake family is different, they do not have such convincing power. And as the existence of Dai Chinluo controlling South Hill Raff, the Derrick family does not need such an identity. A fake royal identity will only bring unnecessary ambition to the rest of the family. Thinking of Chinluo's strength, old Derrick was afraid for a while, and also rejected the proposal to become a king. No problem. After discussing for a while, Zephyr gave a positive answer. What about Marine's entry? Zephyr was naturally most concerned with the agreement for Marine's entry into South Hill Raff. Didn't you already come to South Hill Raff, and I didn't drive you out? Chinluo said casually. He no longer wanted to stay, and he wanted to leave after whispering to old Derrick. This may be the same. This time, in order to show sincerity, Zephyr brought the elites of Marine headquarters directly. These people will not be stationed in South Hill Raff for a long time. The symbolic significance of South Hill Raff being an ally of Marine and the world government far outweighs the practical significance. But Zephyr was about to stop Chinluo, who was about to leave, but old Derrick stood in front of him. Lord Chinluo doesn't want to be disturbed. I am solely responsible for the rest. You can tell me if you need anything. With Chinluo backing him up, old Derrick was stubborn and dared to stop a Marine. Admiral. HMPH. Zephyr glared at old Derrick angrily. He didn't have such a good temper with other people. All the air he received before was sprinkled on old Derrick. Old Derrick was not annoyed either. He finished talking about each thing with a smile. This is a textbook-style businessman and a piece of shit. The personnel efficiency of Marine and the world government was really high enough. On the night of his arrival, old Derrick had been wiping out all the remnants of moderates and radicals who had no choice. Of the world government CP who did it. There was a man in a suit who knew a lot of information, and each family was uprooted. It is said that these families are subject to revenge from the radicals and debt collection by a certain swordsman. At noon the next day, a seriously injured swordsman and a member of the radical group were arrested and taken away. Impelled down for mass murder and hiring to hide the worst criminals. What if someone doesn't believe it? You go to Impel Down and ask the warden there to go. Marine offered to take you for a ride. The commotion in South Hill Raff finally came to an end, and more old Drake's people were raised to become members of the Chamber of Commerce meeting, and they actually had control of the entire Chamber of Commerce's right to speak. In order to reassure people, the old Derrick also issued a decree. In order to make up for the losses caused by the turmoil to the South Hill Raff businessmen, the tax revenue of the Chamber of Commerce will be halved for the next year. In an instant, the entire South Hill Raff was the voice of support for old Derrick. A businessman can't get along with anyone or money. Now that old Drake represents their interests, they are supporters of old Drake. After a year, the Drake 1.0 family has already established a firm position in South Hill Raff, and even if someone opposes him, it will not have much impact. In addition, within this year, Marine and the world government will be stationed in South Hill Raff one after another. At that time, no matter who wants to make a move, they must consider the relationship between the world government and the Drake family. Chinluo. A few days later, Zephyr, who had finished everything, came to the Derrick family's mansion to find Chinluo. He thought that after Chinluo had a fixed power, it would be much easier to find him. Pity that Zephyr is still too naive. After being told that Chinluo had been gone for a day or two, Zephyr was very confused. You must know that he still has the task of contacting Chinluo to deal with Lu Yun, which was given to him by Gorosei, 5 elders. Now Zephyr has to figure out a reason to deal with the Gorosei, 5 elders. Chapter 600 Unspeakable. Zephyr doesn't have a headache and Chinluo can't control it. At this time, he has already set foot on the land of Sifang Island. As long as he has been there once, Chinluo can roughly know the location of Sifang Island, and he does not need to go through the twists and turns of the sea for a day. Just like people who are accustomed to motor cars are not very willing to choose buses, it is too slow. This is the ancestral land of the Guardian family, so beautiful. In the guard of the 4 stone peaks, the warm sunshine in the morning sprinkled on Sefang Island and its surrounding waters, and the sparkling sea was rippling with golden waves. The dilapidated scene on the island was cleaned up, and there was a special charm in the bells constantly coming from the island. Mamasigi, who came to Sefang Island for the first time, was so surprised. It really gave people a feeling of a paradise, a deep forest ancient temple. Not to mention Mamasigi, even Chin Luo was taken aback. Many clansmen who were fishing were surprised to find the two who suddenly appeared on the island. Enemy. A teenager was about to shout loudly, but his mouth was tightly covered by the people around him. Look carefully, it's that lord, don't be rude. Chin Luo came back with the second elder once before, and many clansmen recognized Chin Luo, including Chin Luo's 19 kindness to their clan. After confirming their identities, Chin Luo and Mamasigi did not receive any obstacles, and people continued to greet Chin Luo along the way. When the two of them arrived outside the village where the Guardian family members lived, 2 vigorous warriors stepped forward. Lord Chin Luo, the old ancestor and the second elder invited you to gather at the ancestral hall. The 2 soldiers clasped their fists, bowed and knelt on the ground and said to Chin Luo and the 2 of them. No one told them to do this, but they wanted to express their gratitude to Chin Luo from the bottom of their hearts. The other members of the surrounding Guardian family were not surprised when they saw the behavior of the 2 warriors. On the contrary, they also followed suit. It seems that Chin Luo's kindness to the Guardian family is widely spread among ordinary people. Look how beautiful you are. Mamasigi gently twisted Chin Luo's waist and whispered in his ear. Hey, basic operation, basic operation. Chin Luo's heart is naturally proud, but he is also someone who has seen big scenes. Pirates, Fishman clan, Shandians, Sky Island residents, Marine, and ordinary people kneel down in front of him less often. So Chin Luo happily enjoyed the process, while pretending to be calm and walking towards the ancestral hall on the mountain. The ancestral hall, which was burnt down by a fire before, is being restored. There are bamboo shelves everywhere. Some craftsmen of the Guardian family are working, ping pong pong. The 2 soldiers who led the way have led Chin Luo Mamasigi to the main hall of the ancestral hall. In the main hall, the ancestor of the Guardian family, the second elder, the store manager, and Olivia, who had stayed on Sefang Island before, had all been waiting for a long time. I don't know if Lord Chin Luo was disturbed by the clansmen along the way. He probably heard some rumors. As soon as they met, the ancestor of the Guardian family made a joke at Chin Luo. If you're flattered, that's fine. Chin Luo would also say witty. With this effort, Chin Luo and Mamasigi sat beside Olivia. At the same time, 2 cups of tea were placed in front of the 2 of them. Asked about the scent of the tea, it was similar to the scented tea in the manager's shop. After greeting each other in a non-salty and indifferent manner, the formal communication began after the warm greetings passed. The second elder first apologized to Chin Luo. 3 days ago, after going through all the procedures, Rhodes and the others were burned at the stake in front of all the clan members in the ancestral hall. This group of people didn't last until Chin Luo came, so if Chin Luo needed to use people like Rhodes, I'm afraid there is no way. It's all right, everything about South Hill Rough has been settled. Chin Luo's words made the second elder a lot more relaxed. If he wanted to go from Chin Luo's place to Rhodes and his group and kill them on his own initiative, the second elder still carried a lot of pressure. However, if the second elder is allowed to choose one more time, it will still be the same. Compared to this, I would like to ask how the proposal is being considered. Do you want to transfer the clan to my place? I can ensure your safety there. The existence of Sefang Island has been reported, although the navigation chart is accompanied by disappeared with the death of Rhodes and the others, but I can't guarantee whether a route will be explored. Chin Luo is not alarming. There are still many forces interested in the Guardian family. The store manager's answer was relatively straightforward, and she directly agreed with Chin Luo's proposal. Judging from getting along with the Guardian family in the past few days, the store manager found that it is very difficult to recognize his family as his ancestors. The situation of covering the water and being difficult to collect also applies to the family. Relying on others, on Safang Island, it is better to move the family to Chin Luo's site. The ancestor and the second elder of the guardian family gave a no answer. Master Chin Luo's proposal is very good. It is really a reason why the family can't give up Safang Island. As for the specifics, the two elders hesitated to say clearly. Forget it, it's up to the old man to explain. Everyone, come with me. Seeing the more and more chaotic appearance of the second elder, the ancestor of the guardian family sighed and took the initiative to help the second elder of 953 to clear the siege. A faint white light dragged the ancestor's body and floated in front of everyone, and walked the road to the shelter again. The right way to gate of opening saves everyone from having to experience a cave full of traps again. In the basement of the island in the center of the shelter, a chained door was opened. This is the forbidden area of the guardian family, and even Olivia, who has been studying in the shelter for several days, has never come in. All the family's secrets are behind this door. The old ancestor said leisurely. With the slow opening of the thick door, Chin Luo and others were finally able to see the whole picture inside, and what kind of existence would be the secret of the family owned by the old ancestor. This is a bright room, and the whole room is full of crystal white light. The size of the room is similar to an ordinary practice room, with a length and width of 12 meters and a height of about 4 meters. The biggest difference in this room is that in any corner of it, countless spells are sticking tightly. Looking at the appearance of the spell, it is exactly the same as the spell on the second elder's weapon. There is a jade-high platform in the middle of the room. Other than that, there is no other furniture in the room. Looking at the inside of the room, Chin Luo was thoughtful, and he could probably guess the reason.